win 6 of 10, something like that. You're 10 games over 500 at the All-Star break. I think you're feeling pretty good about the Padres at that point.
That's why at the end of the year, if your team wins 92 games, but they finish 20-3,
right?
You're like, man, perfect. They're red hot. This team is great. They're awesome. But look at the 98 team. You go back to that team and look at their September record.
Yeah.
What's not good?
Right.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 1, Jon and Jim on a Friday afternoon. Another gorgeous day here in San Diego as the Padres open a road trip in Cincinnati. And we've got a really good show lined up for you, getting you ready for Game 1, which is over 2 hours away. John Sadak is a longtime friend. He's also the TV voice of the Reds. He will join us at 2:15 to preview the series. And then Kevin Acee will join us from Cincinnati as well at 3 p.m. And then during the game, David J. from MadFriars and the state of the system as we look ahead to the trade deadline as well. Padres off the off day, starting the second half. Some really intriguing quotes from A.J. Preller this week to Dennis Lin about the Padres looking back at Juan Soto, but looking ahead to this trade deadline and their appetite to improve and or go all in depending on how the team is playing. So here we are, Jim, a month out. The team is 8 games over 500 and potentially in a position where they're going to add once again under Preller within the next month.
It's pretty much dependent on how the team plays in the next 30 games, right? There's about 30 games until the trade deadline. I think the official number is 29.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So 29 games until the official deadline. You're 8 games over 500. If you went what? Do the math for me real quick.
29,
so 29,
18,
11, or 17 and 12. They go 17 and 12. You're 13 games over 500 at the deadline. Does that constitute AJ Preller to go all in? Does that give him enough evidence what this team has done this year to say we're going for it, or does he need to see more?
I say yes. When they went all in on Soto, different time, different era, they were 12 over. So I think if you're 12 plus over, now I don't know where they are in the division. My guess would be they'd still be within arm's reach. I think they're 5.5 out right now in the division. The play you just mentioned, 17 and 12, I wouldn't envision them falling further behind. Maybe you're 4 out in the division and a couple of games up on a wild card. Again, I'm not going in for Soto, but I'm in. At that point, Jim, I kind of trust my team if I'm 13 games over 500.
I think so, too.
Right.
And if you get some pitchers back, like Darvish and King, and a couple guys in your lineup start really producing like they were earlier on in the year, then, yeah, maybe he feels like he's compelled to make some type of, not big move, but maybe like multiple medium moves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you made multiple medium moves for this team, that could go a long way instead of just one big move. I don't know. I don't really know what the big move would be. Would it be Jarren Duran? Would it be an outside chance of landing Jacob deGrom? I don't know what that big move out there is right now that the Padres could realistically go and make.
Yeah, I agree with that. Is it frontline starting pitching, or is it someone like Jarren Duran who had a terrific 2024, hasn't had the same 2025? Here's a quote within the article from Dennis Lin, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that sticks out to me. He talked about last year when they went out and made moves. He goes on to say, and this year with John Seidler, I think it's been very similar conversations to last year, open to going any direction, but understanding that if we have a chance to win, we're going to do everything we can to win a championship here in San Diego. That's a strong statement from the general manager at this point in the year.
Very strong.
As strong as you can make it. And by the way, in reading this entire article this afternoon, I know it was from a day or two ago, I never believe Preller when he says, listen, we have internal options. We like our system. Forget about all of that. If they're fully in it, he will get rid of young prospects in an effort to win immediately. He will try to bolster. He will not do it internally. He will do it externally. He's proven that time and time again. And when I see a quote like that, we'll do everything we can to bring a championship. He's not talking about calling guys up. He's talking about making moves.
Because when they traded away James Wood, CJ Abrams and Gore and Hassel and Susanna, right? The job just doesn't stop there to build back your minor league system. It's not like, oh man, there we go. We lost our top prospects. Guess we'll never have any top prospects ever again in this organization.
Right. It doesn't work like that.
It's all right. Go back to the drawing board. the work now begins again. We got to find the next James Wood. We got to find the next Mackenzie Gore. And that's been their job the last couple of years. Have they found replacements to those players? Yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what Salas and DeVries, if they remain here, what they could turn into, right? But the job of a GM, once you trade away a top prospect, is to go find another top prospect, to go find a replacement for that player. All right, let's go find the next James Wood. Let's go find the next CJ Abrams. Like, their job does not stop there if they trade away a top prospect. So, that's probably AJ Preller's thinking is like, okay, we know as an organization, we were able to find all of these top prospects. So I have faith in us that we're going to find these top prospects again, that we're going to go out, even if we do trade one of our, top 2, 3, 4 prospects in the organization. As an organization, we have a track record of finding talent.
Yeah.
Whether it, succeeds at the major league level with the Padres or not, we have a good track record of finding talent that people want. And so, reading the article that Dennis, wrote about the James Wood thing, like, yeah, a lot of Padres fans were like really upset about that, like this week.
Mm-hmm.
But AJ Preller looked at it a completely different way. Like, he said, I feel proud to see the work that we did turn into like Juan Soto. And then in turn, seeing the guys that our department found and identified, and they're actually, succeeding at the major league level. That to me, and I'm talking about AJ Preller, like AJ Preller is saying, look, our organization, we are really good at finding talent. So what's going to happen if we trade away talent at the deadline this year?
We'll find it again.
We'll find it again.
I mean, their 2021 draft was ridiculously effective with Maryland Wood as your top 2 picks. I mean, that is hard to do. That is really hard to do. By the way, Lynn also wrote, at the moment, this is an exact sentence. At the moment, DeVries appears to be the lone relatively untouchable minor leaguer. Okay. At the moment, DeVries appears to be the lone relatively untouchable minor leaguer. By the way, I just looked at Leo DeVries' numbers. David J. will join us coming up at 5 p.m. He's hitting 243. He's a very young player. His OPS is 746. In his minor league career, again, he's 18. In his minor league career, he's hit 240. Leo DeVries. Ethan Salas is still out with that stress reaction in his back. So it will be, I don't think they touch DeVries. I'd be surprised if they move Salas. But again, Dennis Lynn's writing is that the only really untouchable now, he doesn't mention Salas in there. He says it's DeVries is the lone relatively untouchable player right now.
I think with DeVries and the minors, those numbers.
They're not everything. I agree.
They're not everything. But you know what? I think if you watch Leo DeVries, he has definitely shown flashes.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. And so the numbers are the numbers. And again, Jackson Merrill didn't have really good numbers in the minors. And look what he's done this first year and a half in the big leagues.
And these guys are young for their level, even in the minor leagues. I mean, 18 for any full season in the minor leagues is a really young player.
If he's doing that now at 18, imagine what he's going to do in 21.
Exactly.
So very interesting quotes from AJ. If this team, plays well in the next 29 days, I think that's going to really force AJ Preller's hand to potentially go out and maybe make some moves that he hasn't thought about making as of right now. Potentially.
I agree with you.
Because there was also another part in that article where he mentions, the team really decides what we do at the deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not really up to me, it's up to them. If I go out and make a move and push the chips even further into the center of the table, it's up to the team. And I think they've so far done their part. There are some concerns for sure with this team that you would still love AJ Preller to address. But at the deadline, they're 500 and they play, poor baseball over the next 29 days. Does AJ Preller really want to say, you know what, I'm going to trade away Cash Mayfield for an outfielder or whatever it is when the team has been playing really bad baseball?
We're going to discuss it all over the course of the next 4 hours. Now, Jon Sadak's going to join us from Cincinnati on the other side. He's the voice of the Reds, who have played well, 12-6 in their last 18. They have a true star in Ellie De La Cruz. Jon Sadak on the other side, then back to the Padres at the deadline at 2:30. We'll hear from Mike Schilt. There's so much to get to here today. Kevin Acee at 3 p.m. Do not go anywhere. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, let's head out to Cincinnati. Padres Reds game 1 coming up this afternoon, 4:10 Pacific, 7:10 Eastern. John Sadak, longtime friend, TV voice of the Reds, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. John, appreciate it. I know you're getting ready. What has turned this season around here for the Reds? 12-6 in the last 18 games. What's been the story over these last 3+ weeks? And thanks for hopping on.
You got it. I'm glad to be with you. I've missed you. And
you too,
I think the biggest thing, I appreciate it, dude. We had many shared days in the minor leagues.
Too
for those
many.
listening that are unaware. A lot of bus rides in the Carolina League and the International League.
You're not kidding.
But I think the difference for the Reds of late has mostly centered on Elly De La Cruz. He's playing at an all-star caliber level this year. Switch hitter with power who has shown even more balance right side of late. Many teams on the year and his career have elected to bring in lefties, particularly in late game situations, turn around and make him bat right-handed. And he is not only hitting for higher average in that time, he's hitting with more authority and power to all fields. They're not just pulled. He's been able to launch balls to right center as well. And when he is hot, this team is just plain better. He tends to get better as the weather warms. There is some rhythm to what he's doing as well. Background with a man who once wore the Padres uniform. He spent a couple of off seasons ago working on taking pitches and having more balance from Juan Soto. And I think the biggest dividends are being seen and felt this year. The strikeout rate, it's still high. He does strike out, but it's lower, markedly lower. And the walk rate is up, and he is doing damage.
First year of managing for Terry Francona in a Reds uniform. What's it been like to cover Terry Francona, and how is he, trying to change the culture there in Cincinnati?
I think you're spot on, and he's a future Hall of Fame manager who has an instant sense of trust. He has been there, done that, and he gives that trust immediately. And it's up to you to work and continue to maintain it, so to still earn it every single day. He has galvanized the clubhouse in a market fashion. He is a believer in his players, but he's also a clear communicator. There is a sense of responsibility. A good example is in the extra inning game against the Yankees the other night. They get the tying run home. Elly De La Cruz advancing from first, looped around second base, and then spun around off the bag, waiting to celebrate with his teammates. He forgot the score. He thought the game was over. That was directly addressed after the game. They had a conversation, and he praised Elly for how he handled it. The fact that Elly came back into his office again after that to speak of it a second time. And there's no hate there. It's just a direct professional moment. And he said he opened the conversation with Elly. The best players in the game don't do that. And Elly readily agreed. And I think you can then address it in that moment and then move on. And that's one of the many examples of the year that they're not perfect. They still make mistakes. The Reds were highly successful running last year, but also did lead the league in outs on the bases. There was a lot of risk and reward. This year, they're running less. They're running more in situations that make more sense. And even beyond pure steals, there's just a greater awareness for the baseball play, the baseball moment. Santiago Espinal, who's at one point was thrust into a more regular role after a result of other poor performance and injury. He ran a butcher boy play against Cleveland where they were crashing hard, running a wheel to take away a bunt. He saw the situation, and then he was able to instinctually react. And there's freedom for players to independently do that while it's also being coached. That give and take of responsibility and also autonomy and authority to make plays in the moment, but always do it within the context of what's smart and right for the team.
Really good insight. John Sadak, the TV voice of the Reds. Again, Padres and Reds game 1 will come up in less than 2 hours. To continue the Elly conversation, I want to say that there were some quotes or reporting about the possibility of the Reds looking at an extension with Elly earlier this year. I know that's not ongoing right now. Is there any discussion about what something like that is going to look like? Like, there may be a scenario where Elly at one point is like the richest player in the history of baseball, right?
That's very possible. And I would imagine, this is only my pure personal speculation, that has to be part of the reason for an impasse, right? Because I don't think he's hit his ceiling. And I don't think Elly believes he's hit his ceiling. And if he were to actually hit the ceiling, not to go full Michael Jordan on you here, but it's not the roof. It's beyond that. This young man, his skills are otherworldly outstanding. He throws as hard as anyone in the game. He's as fast as anyone in the game. He hits the ball as hard as anyone in the game. If he fully realizes all of that, and I think there is a very good chance that he could, you're talking about short-list best players in baseball. You're talking about the Judge Ohtani conversation. Is that going to happen? There's still a gulf there. I mean, he's a very, very good player, but he's flawed. He's in his second full season in the big leagues. He's 23 years old. And I would look to the comp of, while he's down right now, Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. over a similar span of time, a major league experience with a similar age. It wasn't until around this point a year ago that he really started to skyrocket. And I think that potential window is there. He's hitting the heck out of it for 2 weeks now on a team that doesn't afford him a ton of protection. That's where the return of Hayes will be interesting, because Ellie's hot as Hayes comes back. He has to find his own rhythm, but Hayes has done that already when he's been hurt once before this year. So I don't know. I mean, I think if he were to totally hit the ceiling of what he can do, he's going to reset the number. And at some point, we're going to be talking about $1 billion player.
John, because of the off day yesterday for both teams, Padres are going to miss rookie phenom Chase Burns. He had an electric debut on Tuesday against the Yankees. Just how good is this kid already? What's the limit for him? And what baseball fans expect to see out of Chase Burns going forward?
The arm is legit. And even more than the arm, the stuff. The fastball is plus. The slider is plus. He struck out the first 5 Yankees in succession to begin the game with a big crowd and a lot of energy. That moment could be too big for many, and he was able to harness and stay within himself. I would also point to the bigger thing for me, because I felt like they were kind of known. We saw that when he was at Wake Forest. We saw that in the minor leagues. Doesn't mean it directly, immediately translates to the big leagues, but that stuff is the stuff. The changeup to me is the pitch that stunned me, because it was a pitch that he did not use all that much really until he got to Double-A. He skyrocketed A-ball, Double-A, Triple-A, 13 total starts. He's the second fastest by minor league appearances to the big leagues through the minors of any pitcher in Reds history. The changeup at Double-A is where he was first challenged and told, you need to throw this. Even in situations where you can get the out because he was straight dominating, you have to use it in these game situations. And you can look at his stats, knowing that he started the changeup then, it was pretty good. And then he showed it in the big leagues. He showed it against Bellinger, throws him on a changeup in the lower third. He showed it against Trent Grisham. He was willing and able to execute it for outs and for strikeouts in a big league game. The fact that he could and was able to do that in start number 1, wow. My own personal expectations, which are high for a young man with incredible talent and great moxie and a fiery competitor, went up even higher when I saw that true third pitch wasn't a show-me pitch. It is a major league game-ready pitch.
And I mean, in the Central, you got Burns, you got Skeens, and Mizorowski for the Brewers. I mean, the Central is shaping up to have 3 of the best, young pitchers already in baseball.
Very much. And also consider the Reds right now are down Hunter Green. He's only 25 himself and also throws 100 and was having a Cy Young caliber year. He got votes last year, deservedly. If he wasn't hurt over the last, third of the season or so, missed about 4 or 5 weeks, I think he would have finished even higher. I thought he was the Reds' best starter last year. And he began this year in a similar boat. He had at one point over about a calendar year time from early July last year through the first 2 months of this year, the second best ERA in baseball. So the plan right now is that he's going to join the team on the next road trip in Boston and throw. The team will get some eyes on him. He's been sidelined with a groin injury. He was lifted with a groin injury in Atlanta after he had struck out the side and hit 99.8 on his last pitch. So, yes, there's tremendous talent. Skeens is fantastic. The Skeens-Mizorowski game, I thought, lived up to the hype the other day. Mizorowski had, 12 pitches at 100 in the first inning, 6-7. What a time to be a baseball fan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, before you go, Nick Martinez, I mean, obviously Padres fans are familiar. He's put together good seasons. It looks like his ERA is elevated here in 2025, and he hasn't pitched as well maybe his last handful of times out. What have you seen from Martinez here in 2025?
The first 2 months were a lot like he was the last 6-7 weeks of last year. He closed as the Reds' best pitcher over that stretch last season, but also lined up with some of the time when Hunter was hurt. He got rocked by Minnesota 2 Thursdays ago. Failed to go 3, just didn't have it that day. And you well know, because you guys saw him, he's a rhythm pitcher. When he's in rhythm, he is shut down. When he's out of rhythm, he can be more prone. So how about this? Terry Francona goes to him days after he got shellacked by the Twins and says, Nick, I have an idea. I want you to have a chance to flush this bad day. You had a bad day. Let's let it go. I want you to pitch in relief instead of throwing aside. Throw in St. Louis over the weekend. And you well know he did it with the Padres more than anywhere. He can volley between the rotation to the bullpen. And he's also a gamer, highly fiery, very competitive. Instantly was in, went 2 perfect innings in St. Louis. The plan was for him to then go back into his rotation spot. But he went back to the skipper and said, I have an idea for you. We can keep Brady Singer on normal rest, let him pitch the Wednesday finale against the Yankees, and I can give you an inning in relief on Monday and then start Friday against the Padres. And Tito said at first he was a little uncertain about it. That was asking a little bit more, different change of pace. And Nick assured him, I had you on Saturday. I can get you on Monday. What's he do? A 1, 2, 3, 7th inning in a Reds win against the Yankees.
Wow. That's great insight. That's great insight. John, have a great call. We will see you in San Diego in September, and appreciate you taking time for us before the game.
Likewise. Be well, y'all.
All right. Great stuff from Jon Sadak. We'll react. Plus, Mike Schilt has spoken with the media. We'll share that sound with you on the other side, plus back to the Padres at the deadline. All ahead. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lexus of El Cajon. Bring luxury home. Padres and Reds start a 3-game series tonight in Cincinnati. 4:10 first pitch. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Nick Martinez for the Reds. Texas State is expected to accept an invite to the Pac-12. That will be voted on by Monday. That school, if they do vote yes, will complete the conference. And SDFC takes on Dallas tomorrow night on the road, 5:30 kickoff, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to the match right here on San Diego Sports 760. Experience true luxury from Lexus El Cajon's state-of-the-art dealership. You'll get a great deal with summer savings and any new or pre-owned Lexus in stock. See why they're ranked #1 for customer service. Visit LexusElCajon.com. Bring luxury home from Lexus El Cajon.
All right, Kevin Acee will join us at 3 p.m. We'll hear from Ken Rosenthal in about 15 minutes on both the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Are they buyers or sellers, in his opinion, at the deadline? In addition, we remind you that San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the Bonus Bucks giveaway. Listen for the keyword, enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up at 3 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Let's hear from Schulte. We can get back to the earlier conversation involving the Padres at the deadline as well. But Mike Schulte has spoken with the media. This is about 2 or 3 minutes, just a few moments ago in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hey, Mike, just a general question about lineup swing. It seems like you in general are more apt to go with consistency and not be moving things around a whole heck of a lot. When you do make a change, in your mind, is there any timetable that you might give in circumstances to sort of say, is this working, is this not, or is every situation so uniquely independent that there's no way to really do that?
It's a lot to unpack, Scan. Yeah, man. I think it's all fluid. We don't do the moves lightly. You look at it, you live with it, feel good about it, then you evaluate it as the season goes, and we've done that. So as far as the timetable of it or the length, again, the game and the guys will let us know.
In this ballpark, obviously it's an easy home run ballpark. Is there anything that hitters have to sort of temper themselves in terms of not trying to take advantage of it being such a home-friendly place?
Listen, we just like any place we go, I think it's important, big park, hitters park, just making sure we just stay with our approaches. You have the right approach, the ball's going to do what it'll do.
Feeling going for you today in some pretty hot, sticky conditions. As a manager, is that something you understand to take that into account as you're watching pitch counts and stressful innings and all that kind of stuff with just the weather conditions?
I think it's a factor. It's warm. I don't think it's like people are passing out right now, but we'll pay attention to it. We'll look at it and see how hard he's working and make the decision from there.
Any update on you, Darvish, and Michael King? How about this?
Darvish, 51 pitches, 3 innings. Sounds like he came out of it pretty well. We'll get a side here over the weekend and then evaluate it. Michael King had a good day of catch, had a full off day yesterday, and we'll see what it looks like today.
How is Xander right now? Obviously, it's in the lineup for tonight. How did he come through his shoulders?
He aggravated it. The 2 days have done him really good. He's feeling very optimistic. He's going to be able to go today, and we'll evaluate it. But he feels like he's in a good spot.
You mentioned to us that maybe he has to reconsider head first slide, especially in the home plate. Have you talked to him about that?
I think we've talked to him about it. He's aware of it. He's a 12-year pro, so he knows what he's doing. It's an instinct for him to slide head first. Making an adjustment because of the shoulder is something that's on the table, and I think he's aware of.
So the question by Scans there, if you didn't hear, it was basically about the lineup, and the lineup is the same as it was the other day with Luis Ariz hitting leadoff. Turn your mic on, and
Bogart's back.
Tatis is hitting cleanup.
I think the bigger, yes, that's true. I think the bigger story is that I expected Darvish, after throwing 51 pitches, to make a rehab outing his next time out. He's not. He will throw a quote-unquote side this weekend, which now is pushing us back to does he debut or not in the major leagues prior to the All-Star break. It was lining up for him to potentially 51 pitches, a lot of pitches. So you don't typically throw 51 pitches and then not have an outing that is like a rehab. And now he doesn't have to rehab either. He could throw aside and then be activated by the Padres. But it seems to me with both Darvish and King, they still err on this cautionary side that there is no rush in the Padres. The way they're treating this, the way this is playing out, there's no rush at all. I mean, absolutely none based on the way this is. And I get it. If they're not healthy, they're not healthy. But at some point, I thought we'd see Yu Darvish again in a rehab game. He made that one rehab outing. That's been like a month. He still isn't making another rehab outing. And I do wonder when we will see Yu Darvish and what the plan is coming off that 51 pitch sim game.
Well, it's all based on how Yu Darvish feels. And this whole thing is up to Yu Darvish. I think if it was up to the Padres, he'd be already pitching by now. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think their thought process was he was going to be back way sooner than right now. Like they already expected for him to be back.
Right.
He's not close. Like he's not pitching in the bigs anytime soon.
It doesn't seem like it.
So I think there's two different thoughts there. One from the Padres of like, yeah, we already expected him to be back, but and we didn't really expect this. And then one from Yu Darvish, which is, I am not going to go out there and pitch in a big league game until I feel like myself, or at least feel like I'm okay enough to go out there and pitch. So there's two different timetables, two different timelines. One from the Padres, which I think, hey, dude, we kind of expected you to be back now. Like, what's going on here? What are you dealing with? And then Darvish being very, 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 very cautious.
I mean, extremely cautious to the point that if he does return after the All-Star break, you're basically asking him to make 10 to 12 starts in the regular season for the entire year. That would basically be his year. 10 starts in the regular season, roughly, and then hopefully give you quality innings in the postseason, which everyone would sign up for.
Mm-hmm.
If he can make 10 to 12 effective starts in the regular season, then help you in the postseason, I just don't know how confident I would be in that. I mean, we'd have to play it back, but the way Schilt commented on the 51 pitches, he didn't say, oh, he feels great, or man, he can't wait to get back out on the mound in the major leagues. It wasn't that. It's more tempering expectations, more caution, more waiting.
Here's how
next steps.
Here's how I'll view Yu Darvish for the rest of the year. After every single start or every single rehab assignment or sim game, you hold your breath.
Yeah.
Like you just hold,
major league game.
Exactly. Anytime he pitches, you just hold your breath.
Yeah.
You hold your breath with you. And it's just, I guess that's the way it's going to be. No one can do anything about it. And you hope that after every start, he feels fine. But there's definitely more. There's always been more here than what's been reported on and said.
I agree.
How could there not be?
I want to hear it again because Brent isolated the question about Yu Darvish and the answer.
Darvish, 51 pitches, 3 innings. Sounds like he came out of it pretty well. We'll get a side here over the weekend and then evaluate it.
Okay.
Yeah, very non-committal, which I understand. They can't put a timeline on Yu Darvish because they've been burned by it.
Yeah, you can't be committal to Yu Darvish because he's gonna go by his timeline.
So he threw 51 pitches. You remember the day? Was it Monday?
It was like 2 or 3 days ago. It might have been Wednesday. Honestly, I think it was Wednesday. So it was 2 days ago.
I don't think it was. Was he? He was in Arizona.
He was up in Lake Elsinore.
In Lake Elsinore. All right. Well, we can do that. I was just thinking about the timeline on it. I guess that makes sense then for him to pitch this weekend.
Well, Jeff Sanders put it out there. Let me just go back to his tweets here. Because he put it out there.
In my head, it was before Wednesday.
No, it was the 25th. It was 2 days ago.
Oh, all right. Then maybe everything's fine. I was just thinking about the timeline there. But yeah, maybe everything is still, maybe that timeline still works. It just is a little odd. To me, 51 pitches, you would think on the other side, we have Kevin, and Kevin will join us at 3 p.m. We kind of theorized that after that could be a rehab outing.
I just think that whatever is going on with Yu Darvish, it's not going to be normal. It's not a normal thing. And when he decides he's going to come back, that's when he's coming back. That's just kind of how it is right now.
All right. Well, hopefully we see him sooner rather than later. Kevin Acee will join us from Cincinnati coming up at 3 p.m. On the other side, back to the Padres at the deadline. We'll hear from Ken Rosenthal, his thoughts on San Diego, buying or selling Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 3 p.m. We are here until 6. David J. from MadFriars will join us at 5 o'clock. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Make sure to download the all-new iHeartRadio app and put us in your presets, San Diego Sports 760. Listen live weekdays to Jon and Jim from 2 to 6, and then put Jon and Jim in your presets. Listen back to any hour or interview, including our conversation with John Sadak, voice of the Reds, or our upcoming conversation with Kevin Acee at 3 p.m., David J. at 5 p.m. All right, there's a lot going on today.
Yeah, big weekend. SDFC Tomorrow night on the road again. Padres in Cincinnati. Us going to a card show. We'll get into that later in the show.
Yeah. There's also Pac-12 out of Texas State.
That too.
On Monday, reportedly. But let's get back to the Padres at the deadline because we're a month out. Ken Rosenthal on his podcast talking about the Padres as buyers or sellers. Take a listen.
AJ Preller in San Diego, the same. And that's a team that he intends to have compete for the rest of the season. There's a serious question about their rotation with Michael King not being back until after the All-Star break. Darvish has yet to throw a pitch in the major leagues this season. But if they get one or both back, their pitching improves. If they get another bat in left field, which has been their bugaboo all year, they're better along those lines. And their bullpen has got to be a concern because I think it's tired right now. It's worn down a little bit. So all of that said, they're still in a really good position. They're still a really good team. And Preller is not going to give up. So he is going to look to add, and I would expect that he will.
Buyers.
Who's talking about the Padres as sellers? Like, what kind of question is that right now? 8 games over 500 with AJ Preller. Is there any legitimate, like, man, they might still be selling? I mean, it depends on how they play over the next month. But today, is that a legitimate question? Like, hey, are the Padres sellers today? I don't see them as sellers today.
No, they're not right? Sellers. They're even if they do like play 500 baseball the next 30 games, go 15-15. They're still 8 games over 500 at the deadline.
Right. They're not sellers then either.
Nope. They're still going to go out and they're going to make a move. AJ's going to make a move.
Yep. I agree.
It would have to go completely the other way. 30 games till the deadline. They have to go like, if they went like 10-20.
Yeah. Then I wouldn't be buying.
Then you're 2 under and then we got problems.
Even the way they've played, and we've been like, man, get this thing going. They're 30-33 in their last 63. They're not 10 games under 500. They're 3. So over 30 games, okay, let's say they went 14-16. They're 6 over if they go 14-16.
And realistically, in stretches of seasons over a 60-game span, go back and look how many World Series champions over a 60, 3-game span went 30 and 33.
A good number, probably
a lot.
There's recent examples. Yeah. The Washington Nationals are
so not every single World Series winner, is 5, or is 5 games above 500 every single month, where they have like they just keep adding. Those are like historically good teams. And we've seen recent memory. You don't need to win 110 games to win a World Series. You just need to get in, you need to get hot, be healthy, have good pitching and timely hitting, and you give yourself a really good chance.
Now, we had an interesting conversation off air about just the state of the National League, and like teams like Cincinnati, we talked to John Sadak, they're going to go for it. I mean, they're bringing up young talent to bolster them. They're getting healthier. They're getting Hunter Green back. Milwaukee adding one of the top pitching prospects in the sport. They're going to go for it. Now, maybe there's some teams that won't. Arizona would come to mind, but I mean, here's the thing. We've said this before in previous years. There's going to be like 5 wildcard contenders for 3 spots. Padres are going to be in that conversation, right? Maybe there's 4 contenders for 3 spots or 5 contenders for 3 spots. But other years are like, oh, some of these teams are definitely going to fall off. I don't know if we can say that about Milwaukee, Cincinnati. I don't know enough about St. Louis, truthfully, but they played well above their weight. They punched above their weight, 44-38 from the Cardinals this year. Shoot, I'm not ready to quit on Atlanta. They're 6 games under, but it is the Atlanta Braves with their roster. So my point is like, yeah, Padres are well positioned and they might have to add because these other teams are intent on adding. Like, I don't think Cincinnati's selling off and I don't think Milwaukee's selling off.
And the Giants don't make a move for Rafi Devers to be like, you know what?
We're good.
We're actually not going to make any more moves this year to try to go for it.
We're thinking 2026.
Now, that is more of a long play move, but it is also a now move too. They don't probably make that move now unless they feel good about this year's team's chances or this team's
chances this year.
There we go. So it's going to be, I think, a buyer's market. I really do. I don't think it's going to be as many teams selling as you think.
That makes it a seller's market.
Well,
is the sellers get the better return?
I think there's going to be more buyers than there are.
That's a seller's market, my friend.
Okay, you're right.
That's a big time seller's market because the premium is on the players, on the sellers.
I'm flipping it in my head.
Yeah, because it's not. That's the thing. With the new wildcard format, it's hard for it to be a buyer's market. There's so many buyers and so few sellers. Isn't that a seller's market?
No, I think it's a buyer's market.
That's a seller's market. A buyer's market is if you can buy a home for less.
Not for more. But we're saying that the Padres might have to spend more capital to get players, right?
But hold on.
Someone put that. That's a seller's market. If there's fewer sellers, it's a seller's market.
But if there's more buyers, wouldn't that be considered a buyer's market?
No. If 10 people want to buy a home and you're one of them, it's the seller market, right? The house, the home's $1 million, but you're now buying it up to 1.1. Am I wrong?
If you want to buy a house, Jim, and there's 10 people that want to buy the house,
that's the seller's market.
Yeah, all the leverage goes to the seller because there's difference. 10 of you that want the house.
Okay, I get you.
So I'm pretty sure it will be a seller's market. As in, I'm making it up. Name a really bad team right now. Colorado. They can hold out for the ask because there's going to be 2 or 3 teams calling out a starting pitcher if there's one having a good year.
Yeah.
As opposed to only one offer.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Pitcher. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Seller's market, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, there's going to be a lot of teams out there buying in a seller's market.
Yeah, which, again, I think makes it maybe harder for AJ to accomplish all of his goals with his system right now.
Especially because, the system the Padres have, and we'll talk to David J. From MadFriars at 5. It's still a good system, but how much does AJ want to, gut that system for, middling player maybe?
Right.
I don't know. Hey, if Taylor Ward is going to be this potential hot commodity on the market,
he's controllable, right?
Controllable, can hit you 30 home runs. Not going to really do much as far as average goes and on base and his OPS, but 30 home runs is, I still think, valuable.
I agree.
And it's something the Padres don't have. They're not a team that has that much pop on it, and they need more. So, like, if the Padres are interested in Taylor Ward, well, I bet you there's 2 or 3 other teams that would be interested in Taylor Ward as well. So, do they have enough in their system to make the necessary amounts of moves to feel good about themselves? Like, can they make multiple moves is a question, or can they only afford to make one sizable move? I don't know. It keeps coming back into my head what Kevin Acee told us about 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know if fans are going to be, that excited or that happy with the deadline. Like, maybe we should all temper our expectations
with what they're going to be able to do.
Now, again, that was a couple weeks ago, so things change.
And then the Preller quote, like, if we're in it, we'll go all in.
Right.
But no, I tend to agree. Here's my guess. Even if they're quote unquote all in, they'll hedge. And what I mean by hedge is they'll look to get controllable players. They won't play it all for 2025. They would look for a Taylor Ward type because he's under control through 2026. I think AJ Preller absolutely has shown he prefers to go get a player that he can keep for more than 2 months. He'd prefer the year and 2 months. And that's a way to hedge a little bit on buying at the deadline. That's how I see it. Again, now you could add some pieces that just come here for 2 months. Taylor Scott is a good example of that. He came here for 2 months and did his job and then walked out the door. But you got what you were asking out of him because, that's what you were looking for that team last year. But I think he'd prefer to get a guy that's
Tanner Scott?
Tanner, I'm sorry. I said Taylor.
Like, wait, what? Who is that?
You know what I mean. Tanner Scott, who we got for 2 months. Would you prefer to have him for a year and 2 months? In that exact time? Of course you would have. Of course you would have. But you couldn't afford it to keep him long term, and that's fine. That they got what they wanted.
He made moves last year for the then and now and also the future.
Both.
Like, he said, all right, this is a move for us to go for it. And then this is a move to go for it, but also have control of these guys like Adam and like Hoeing. But guys like Tanner Scott, that was hey, could we get the best closer on the market right now? Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And they did it. And it almost worked out.
Yeah, it paid off.
It did.
Of course, they didn't win a World Series, but it did pay off. All right, Kevin Acee on the other side. There is rain right now in Cincinnati. The tarp is on the field. The game may or may not start on time. So we'll be with you. The game's not supposed to start for another hour and 15 or hour and 20 minutes. So stay with us. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, on the upcoming deadline. Darvish, King, and much, much more as the Padres get ready for the Reds. He'll join us on the other side. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Padres, they start a 3-game series with the Cincinnati Reds. 4:10 first pitch today. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Nick Martinez for the Reds. Texas State is expected to accept an invite to the Pac-12. The school will vote on that decision on Monday to complete the rest of the new look conference. And SDFC takes on Dallas tomorrow night on the road. 5:30 kickoff time, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rebate funds are running out fast. Don't get left behind. At Anderson Plumbing, they're buying back your old water heater and giving you $500 in instant savings. Call Anderson PHA today. Nobody wows clients like they do.
All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres Insider with us to kick off hour 2 as the Padres kick off a road trip tonight in Cincinnati, Ohio. I would call it the nation's heartland. Great American Ballpark. I know there's weather in the area. So let's start there, Kevin. You just tweeted about this. What's the latest in terms of the start time tonight for Padres and Reds?
Well, we haven't heard anything because it just suddenly the players came in off the field, 15 minutes early, and then the tarp is now out. And so we'll see. But different radars have seemed to show it being an hour, some 2. So it's hard to believe it would start on time, but maybe it won't be delayed very much.
The lineup today, good news. Xander is back in the lineup. It's still the same lineup from Wednesday where Luis Arraez is hitting leadoff. Update on Xander. Obviously, he's good enough to be in the lineup today, but what's the latest with Xander and his shoulder?
Well, it's just going to be something that he fights. I mean, I'm writing about it right now. Turns out I have a little more time to write it too. The game's not going to start on time, but that's just a me thing. He's just got to be a little careful or not, right? Like, just play. The head first slides are the issue at this point, right? Like, I mean, he could dive in the field, sure. But it's you knew that when he slammed into Riley Adams, and it was slammed. I mean, it was just an incidental contact at the plate. But that was enough for a guy who they'd worked back, gotten it feeling really good, and boom, now he's feeling discomfort. Let's say again. It's going to keep going for a while until it gets back to 100%. My understanding is it's not uncommon for somebody who had a fracture to feel discomfort every once in a while in a place. That this isn't like a big deal, but it does bother him when he swings. Couldn't play on Wednesday. But yes, good news that he responds to treatment, and that before a couple incidents, one in Kansas, one against the Royals, and then that slide into Adams, he was back to feeling pretty close to 100%. It wasn't bothering him. So he's just got to be a little careful.
And it's good news that he's back in the lineup. And yes, he has to be a little careful, like you said. But, the power for Xander has already been something that's been lacking this year. And, getting it back and then immediately getting injured again, it's basically, should we not just expect Xander to have much power here while he's recovering from the shoulder?
I don't know. He said it didn't bother him. He swears. I've asked him 3-4 different times. Everyone else says it wasn't bothering him until June. So I don't know how much we put into that. What I would like to concentrate on is that you have now said twice it's a good thing to have Xander Bogaerts back in the lineup, which I don't know before that 5-game hitting streak that you or anyone else would have said. So I'm encouraged that people think it's good to have Xander Bogaerts back in the lineup.
It's the new Jim.
Well, it's a good thing because it feels like Xander maybe has turned a little corner now. He's going to have to do it for more than just 5 games, but I kind of wanted to see this thing through here with like potentially a new look Xander. That's all.
Well, yeah, and he was like I said, maybe it did have something to do with it. I don't know, but because he said he was getting close to feeling 100%, and then this happened. I don't know. I'm reluctant to put too much on this shoulder thing when he just hasn't been very good all year.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair. Kevin Acee is our Padres Insider. We talked to you about this on Wednesday. You wrote about it today, about the Padres at the midway point. I think you used the word enigma with us. It's in the headline today in the UT. You put together a lengthy piece on the Padres halfway through their season. What are your takeaways in terms of where they are and what they need to do to get to their goals in the second half?
Well, I think their offense is the problem, but their offense then puts pressure on the pitching, and it exposes maybe the pitching like you would any pitching staff if you're always playing 3-run games and all that. Like, the Padres have one of the best records, and it's by percentage points that they're not the best team. So they're right there bunched with the Giants and someone else, maybe the Yankees, in their record in games in which they score 3 or fewer runs. So they're one of the best teams, close to the best team in the majors. And that is still 10 games under 500. So it's like, hey, congratulations, guys. I mean, you were really good at winning these games, but you're playing too many of them because it's impossible. 4 is kind of the magic number, and they got to find a way to get there. And to me, my conclusion, to answer your question, I'm like a Mike Schilt. He's like contagious. I got to meander in my answers. So I do think I'm more interesting than him. But anyway, the bottom line is those 4 guys, Arise, Machado, Merrill, Tatis, got a hit like they're supposed to, and like they're being paid now. 3 of them are being paid. 1 of them, Merrill, being paid in the future. They've got to hit. I don't care. Yes, you need right-handed batter for sure. You might need some bench help. Okay, you got to have a left fielder or DH to cover one of those spots. So you need something. But I don't care about what Jake Cronenworth's doing. I don't care about what Xander Bogaerts is doing. They're important, absolutely, but we gotta it's those 4 guys, or just throw the rest of it out because they're not going to win enough if those 4 guys. And I really look, Manny's been fine, especially since the power's coming on. But it's the others, it's 3 guys, and really I'm talking about Tatis and Arise. Really, right? I mean, they've been consistently kind of the thing. They've just got to be better. So hopefully this thing that Mike Schilt has done, which is throw the pieces in the air and have the numbers land. Okay, we'll put Arise first, Machado second, Merrill, Machado second, Merrill third, Tatis fourth. Hopefully that works for him.
Sounds like we got good news on Darvish today from Mike Schilt. It's always the tone. And you're like, is that good or bad? But anyway, what's the next step for Darvish? And using your best educated guess, Kevin, does he make a start before the All-Star break or not?
Well, he could. I think maybe we know more when someone lets us know, and I feel like they haven't made a decision yet, because my understanding is this is still Yu Darvish driving the bus. Mm-hmm. So they think a rehab assignment is next, but they don't know, or at least they don't know enough to tell me. So we might know more then, because how many rehab starts is he really going to make? It's one thing doing sim games and doing them, but then you go to a rehab and now you're in an uncontrolled environment. How many is he going to make? I think that if he makes one here next week, let's say, then he pitches before the All-Star break. And if not, then we'll see. I do know this. They still are not necessarily in a rush with this thing. Now, we start getting into the latter half of July, and it might not be Yu Darvish that's driving the bus anymore, in terms of them being like, look, we got it, because they got a crisis if Yu Darvish doesn't come back. They got a crisis if Michael King doesn't come back. That's for sure. But then if Yu Darvish doesn't come back as well, then I mean, they just got to get him back, and that's coming from people inside the organization, that it's all good now, but we do need this guy in the second half.
Have you sensed some impatience from the organization with Darvish?
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. And if there is any, it's not from the official, anybody that matters or that would be a thing. Of course, when we talk, I always say this, you talk about how do the Padres feel? Well, there's a lot of people involved in the decision making, but I can promise you that the people that matter are being are very patient. They, whether they were the whole time or they came to understand that's how they have to be, and they do trust Yu Darvish, then I would say that the answer is no, there's not any impatience. But that's what I'm sort of signaling to you guys here, is that we might be 3 weeks away from the answer being different.
Kevin Acee is our Padres Insider with us from Cincinnati. Padres Reds hoping to get underway tonight at some point within the next hour or two. There is rain in the area. The tarp is on the field. Kevin, how would you characterize, Dylan Cease is starting tonight, how would you characterize the year to this point for Cease?
Here's how, did I put it today? I think I put it, and this is how I'll say it now. It's like a 3.5 or something ERA over the last 7 starts or something. If that's the Dylan Cease they get the rest of the way, they can live with that, because you know what that means? That means he did go 7 shutout several times, probably, because that's his MO, where it's like 6 and 4, 6 innings, 4 runs, or, 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs, and then the 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs. Like, then he throws 3 or 4 of those in there. Do they want better than that? Sure. Like, more consistent, that guy. He had a couple runs last year. One was around the no-hitter, one was early, where it was like, damn, this guy's like, he's going to win the Cy Young. Like, that's how good he was. And certainly that's what they hope for. If what they get is the Dylan Cease recently, then I think that they'll be happy with that, because that is a winning pitcher. Now, if that's all they're going to get from him, and then what they're going to get from Nick Pivetta is like the guy who pitches really well at home and then is a crapshoot on the road, and then don't get Darvish or Cease or King back, I'm not too optimistic about their chances. That said, I'm talking circles here. I'm just higher and higher on their bullpen. Just gave them the kiss of death, by the way. I feel like I got a little Jim Russell in me.
That's your fault tonight, Kevin.
But yeah. If you really dig into their numbers, man, I know there's been the blown leads. I know there definitely was a really bad part where you'd say, wow, this bullpen sucks for like a week or a week and a half. But other than that, which virtually every bullpen goes through, man, working under constant pressure, it is definitely the strength of this team. And I think it might be, or I know it's one of the best bullpens in the league. So I'm feeling like that they can get to the playoffs, and then you would just need what the Dodgers bullpen did last year, which was pitch as good as it had all season in the playoffs. And that's what you would need. But man, Darvish and King, I just can't get around how that offensively, Arise and Tatis, and then whatever else. Yes, everything else has to, it has to be good. And then on the pitching, yes, everything else, sure, they need to get some good performances, but King and Darvish on the pitching.
We've talked about the importance of the stretch that they're currently in leading up to the All-Star break. How much importance is the team putting on it? Like how do they view these next couple weeks here with 10 of their next 16 at home?
If you're talking about big picture and the guys making the decisions, I think they're watching with interest to see, okay, where are we at? Like, what are we doing? No one's publicly talking Venus Eller or anything like that, but those are the guys that have to be realistic about what their chances are. Mm-hmm. And so they're watching with the kind of, I wouldn't say quite the same interest as us, where, we're saying some big things here, but they feel the same way. Like, this is big. Got to see where we're at in the clubhouse. Yeah. There's some guys that are aware of where they're at in the standings, who's coming up. They do as good a job as any team that I've ever covered of just whoever they're playing. They know their weaknesses. They know their strengths. They believe they can beat any team. They're like, so in the clubhouse, I really don't think that this is any bigger. I certainly don't think it's as to them. They were, they knew what they had the last couple of weeks. But I do think that they know this. And I look at some guys that talked about it, like the Reds are a very dangerous team. And obviously the Phillies. So this trip, I think that if you hear them, like let's say they go 4-2, I think that you will hear them be real happy about that at the end of this trip.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's a good. I think we talked about this, Kevin. I think if you go 3-3 and you get home for 10,
okay,
and let's say you won 6+ games, it's reasonable.
6-4 at home.
6-4. You're 10 up. You're 10 over 500 at the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance maybe on the other side. Of course, they were historically good on the other side last year, but maybe you get to that trade deadline, you're 10-12 up. And then it gives maybe your GM a chance to once again go for it, even though he's always going for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we'll talk about it more, and we don't have time now. That's really interesting because, I can really get into both sides of going for it, and then I can even get talked into and I've talked to people in the organization, obviously, that to not go for it. You got to be thinking future, and also you got to go, like I said, the core of this team has got to perform. So I can go both ways. I absolutely can say go for it and say why. So we'll talk about that another time.
It's not our players. It's not our money.
Yeah, just spend it all. Trade everybody away.
Everything. Exactly. Yeah. Kevin, enjoy Ohio. Would you say? What would you say? Do you call Cincinnati the Midwest? Like, what do you call the Heartland?
Yeah.
What do you call Cincinnati?
Midwest. Even, and I think that's what they call themselves. Even though it's Eastern time zone, which is just I have to remind myself that every time I come here.
All right. Well, enjoy. Stay dry. We'll do it Monday from Philly.
Right on.
Thanks, Kevin.
Right on.
All right, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. We're going to react to that on the other side. Kevin, brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We react. We're here until 6 p.m. David J. from MadFriars at 5. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future. We need your help, though. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars standard message and data rates apply. Kevin said we'll get into it next time, essentially, because we're up against it. We have a month to talk about it, so he'll join us by 12 times over next month. But he said he could he's not convinced they're going for it, which follows something you said about 10 minutes ago, which he said temper expectations, Padres fans, potentially at the deadline. And that there isn't some overwhelming belief. And we read what Dennis wrote and those quotes from Kevin, but there isn't some, this was Kevin a few minutes ago, overwhelming belief that they're 100% today all in buyers with big goals coming up over the next month. And a lot of that's probably going to be dependent on how they play.
I think the names that we've been talking about, outfield names, hitters, there's potential for one of those players to be a Padre. But I also, every name that we've talked about, I don't really find anybody to be this like can't miss, gotta go get guy. Taylor Ward's been a name that we've talked about for a long time, but there's a good chance that they trade for him and he does absolutely nothing for this team.
Yep.
Like he did all of his work in Anaheim, and then you come here and he hits 4 home runs and he hits 156. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
Same thing with Luis Robert Jr. Luis Robert Jr., you're getting a project that you have to fix up. It's an old car that used to be a sports car a couple of years ago, but it broke down and now you got to fix it up. It's other Jaron Duran. He had a phenomenal year last year, but are you going to trade away top prospects for Jaron Duran, who's not having a good season this year compared to last year?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not this like magic fix player as far as a right-handed bat goes that's out there. That I see that they just that's the guy they have to go get him. Juan Soto, that was like the name that we talked about a lot last year. Relievers, we didn't really talk much about Jason Adam and Tanner Scott, but they were names that were on the market as being the top relievers, and AJ went out and got him. So if you're looking at maybe top relievers in the market again, does AJ have enough to go get him? Because he traded a lot away last year for them, even though the players they traded away, I completely forget.
Yeah, and the other thing is, are you betting on the Padres to go get hitters that then perform or exceed expectations in San Diego? Like when we talk about taking out a project and you're thinking about the Padres, you're thinking more pitching than hitting. What project do the Padres take on that then all of a sudden is completely turned around? Maybe Gavin Sheets would be a good example of that this offseason. But there's not a ton of examples of this, even to the point where Juan Soto, the surefire Hall of Famer, comes here. And it's not like he was the best hitter in the sport when he came here on the other side of the deadline. In fact, he left some to be desired that initial year.
220 after the deadline.
And then played well again in 2023. So I agree with that. I don't think there is a fix. I've said that repeatedly. If the expectation is the offense looks markedly better post-deadline because of the additions, I think that's unfair and unreasonable expectations. I do think you can add to the lineup and hopefully improve it. But if you think it's markedly better, vastly improved, I think that's very wishful.
I do think it's very realistic to go out and get an upgrade at left field.
Yeah, me too.
Even though, is he in left field today?
Who's Sheetsy?
Yeah, your boy Sheetsy. Who's in left today?
For the San Diego Padres?
No,
they
the
will
other
have
Padres.
Gavin Sheets in left. Yeah, he's kind of assumed that role, hasn't he?
Kind of has after his blunder by running into the left field wall.
He's had some misplays too.
Yeah, he's had misplays.
Played it fine though.
He's been fine. You don't need to be a Gold Glover in left field, especially if you're going to put up the production and hit like he has been.
Yep.
So going forward, maybe they're not looking for a left fielder. Maybe they're looking for just a bat
that is right-handed.
That's right-handed. A DH like Marcelo Zuna, right? Like a couple years ago when the Braves won the World Series, they traded for Jorge Soler at the deadline.
That's right.
He became the World Series MVP.
Yeah.
Like, can you go find just strictly a right-handed bat? Doesn't have to play left field because maybe they are looking at it like, you know what, Sheets, he's played better in left, and late in games we can just put out Lockridge or whatever to Johnson to go and be the defensive replacement, and we feel good about that.
Yeah, I think that is a possibility. And the other thing I would say is nothing is set in stone because the offense collectively hasn't performed well enough. And Mike Schilt has proven it over the last week. They've had 3 legitimate different lineups over the last week. What we saw for the better part of the first half. Then they switched it up briefly. And now they fully switched it up with a rise back to the leadoff hitter and Tatis back as a cleanup hitter.
You know what that tells me is that they know.
They're looking for something to ignite this thing.
They know this offense needs a kick in the what.
Absolutely they do.
And there's reasons why it's changed 3 times in the last week or twice in the last week or whatever it was.
But kind of 3, like from the initial to the next to the third. There's basically 3 versions of what we've seen over the last week. And by the way, if not this week, then when? Because Cincinnati is known historically as good of a hitter's yard as there is other than Colorado. And Philadelphia is a top, I have to look, historically probably a top 7 hitting ballpark. I mean, you're in the summer, you're in the Midwest and the East. You should be hitting in these ballparks. These are good teams, but this should not be 1 run, 2 runs. Like, you should have some offensive nights here because of the weather and because of the ballparks.
You hope so,
right? I mean, this isn't Petco with Marine Layer moving in. This is time to go, and it's summertime.
Yeah, if on this road trip they struggle to put up 4 runs on the board every time
That's
out,
a big concern.
Change the lineup all you want. Nothing's going to work.
Right.
You got to have these guys produce. And one name that Kevin did not mention, he mentioned Arise and Tatis a lot. We all love Jackson Merrill, but I think it's time to say, hey, Merrill, can you maybe hit for more power? You're hitting 3rd in the lineup. So
is he still on 5 home runs for the year?
He's still on 5 home runs for the year. Now, he did get absolutely robbed the other day. But I don't think it's out of the realm of, I don't think it's unfair to ask for more production out of Jackson Merrill as well.
Yeah, overall he's been good, but I agree with you. Like, he's gonna have to be better than good. Like, he was better a year ago, not markedly. I keep using that word, but he's been fine. A lot of his year is based on 10 games because he's only played in how many? 40. And he was so good he's playing 48. He was so good for 10. That's over 20% of his games. Yeah. He did all of his work or a lot of his work in 10 games.
Well, then when he came back from his first IL stint, he was on fire. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
8 games. He was in like 430.
Yep.
And then he went into a massive slump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it's unfair at all. Hey, look, Jackson Merrill, everybody loves him. And he is in a position in the lineup to produce. The top 4 in the lineup. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at Arise. You're looking at Tatis, Manny, and Merrill. Those are the 4 guys that are going to determine a lot with this team this year.
100%. All right, this game will start in a delay. I forget if we share that with you on air or not, but we'll share you the start time on the other side. Plus, if you missed our conversation with the Reds television announcer, John Sadak, you'll hear that coming up at 4 p.m. And David J. from MadFriars joins us coming up at 5 p.m. with more on the state of the Padres system. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres and Reds today start a 3-game series. The game is in a delay, but the new schedule start time is 4:20 in Cincinnati. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Nick Martinez for the Reds. Texas State is going to accept an invite to the Pac-12. The school will be voting on that on Monday. The school will complete the new look Pac-12 conference. And SDFC takes on Dallas tomorrow night on the road. 5:30 kickoff, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
All right, if you missed John Sadak, TV voice of the Reds, you'll hear him at 4 p.m. before Padres Reds, coming up around 4:20, as Jim just told you, plus David J. MadFriars on the state of the system a month out from the deadline. He'll join us at 5 p.m. I was going to put this in the wrap, but I think it deserves more time than it. So I want to have a serious conversation with you
about
Padres.
Hypothetically
speaking,
yes,
you can only choose one. Okay. Fernando Tatis Jr. or Elly De La Cruz.
Why are you doing this?
I mean, I'll have the conversation. It's not to set you up, because I'll have the conversation.
Okay. Who you got? Who do you want?
Listen, Tatis, I've said before, is probably among my most favorite players.
Oh, here we go.
It's hard. It would be hard. Now, money's going to be a factor here. Ellie's going to get $700 million or more. He's only 23. Doesn't it feel like Elly now is Toddy then, is my point. Doesn't it feel like Elly now is Toddy then? And you know what I mean? What you felt about Toddy when he was 22 is how I feel about Elly when he's 23. Elly De La Cruz, the Reds, who's put together. I mean, he could have a 40-40 year this year. 18 home runs, 20-something steals, I think, right now. So it's not to ask it to you. I mean, it's to ask it to Padres fans. 877-767-4760 or 70470 start it with team. Maybe we're choosing between two really good things. Maybe it's a Sophie's choice, so to speak. That's kind of my point. I love Tatis. I just want to see Tatis look like Tatis. And I feel like Elly De La Cruz looks a lot more like Tatis than Tatis. That's my point.
Well, they're different players.
Yeah, 100%. They play different positions.
No, they used to play the same position.
Correct.
But they're different players. I think Fernando Tatis Jr., I think the expectation and the view of him by all Padres fans and us included is not an 806 OPS guy. But I think we might have to lower expectations a little bit, because I don't think Tatis will ever be a 960, 970 OPS guy again.
Really?
I don't, like, consistently. Maybe for a year or two, but I'm talking like
a lot, but yeah.
Like for the first 3 seasons of his career was 940, I think, was like his OPS average or something like crazy like that.
No, 965.
Or 965, sorry.
Yeah.
So, like, is he ever going to do that consistently again? Again,
over a 3-year period?
If your expectations are that, you're probably going to be disappointed by him. But if your expectations for Tatis going forward is like 30 to 35 home runs, 260, 270 average, Gold Glove defense in right field, 830 OPS tops, 850 OPS. If that's your expectation for Tatis going forward, then you're going to be very satisfied and happy with what you'll see from Tatis. And if he does have a year where he, blows up and has an OPS close to 1,000 and has a 45 home run season, then guess what? Your expectations of him are going to be, exceeded.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, then let's just quickly look at Elly. Because maybe it's like the standard is so high for Toddy that when he doesn't reach this mythical standard, maybe that's unfair to hold him to. Because Elly this year has had a very similar year. He's hit 277. He's hit 18 home runs. He's stolen 21 bases. His OPS is 862. Mm-hmm. It's higher than Toddy's. But he hasn't blown the doors off Fernando Tatis Jr. this year. He's had a good year. You could argue maybe it's better. You could argue it's similar. Tatis's career numbers are better than Elly De La Cruz's, but the one thing about Elly, as opposed to Toddy, I love calling him that, just Elly and Toddy, is that Elly keeps getting better. From his first year in the major leagues in 2023 to his third year in the major leagues in 2025, this player is improving. He also is a complete game changer on the bases. 67 steals last year is ridiculous. Tatis will never touch that, obviously, in his career. He also swings and misses a ton. But I guess both things are really good. I mean, either team, or excuse me, any team would take either player, by and large. Most teams would take Fernando Tatis Jr. Every team would take.
They're both really good players, yeah.
That's the thing. So it's a Sophie's choice. But if you could only have one, I do think it's a reasonable conversation. I just put it actually in our YouTube chat.
Like, who, instead of choosing either player, why isn't it not like, who would you rather build a franchise around?
Same thing.
Okay.
That's still saying who would you prefer, right?
I guess, yeah.
Well, one's 23, so you'd probably start there as opposed to the 26.
Now, the contract also has something to do with it. Ellie has not signed his big contract. Tatis has.
He's going to make more because the money goes up.
So Ellie could make twice as much as Tatis with the same, almost the same production, other than stolen bases.
Question is, are you betting on the future on De La Cruz, or are you betting on the future on Tatis? To your point,
I think both of them. Can I bet on both?
You would bet on both.
I would. I think both of them are, going to have good futures.
Right.
They're both going to have good careers. I think the expectation of Tatis, it's at a level where I don't know if he's going to meet that. So because of that, when he doesn't meet it, it feels like there has to be a conversation of, well, he had a disappointing year. It's like, well, he's not that player anymore, guys. And maybe he never will be. So if we lower expectations, and I don't particularly like that.
I don't like it either.
Because, you signed a dude that is a 960 OPS. And I get it. But he's still a really good player. We just because he's not a 960 OPS guy anymore, instead he's a 840 OPS guy, he still does a lot of things that are better than stuff that he did early on in his 3 years, prior to his suspension and injuries, which was he did not particularly play good defense at shortstop in the first 3 seasons. He's played fantastic defense in right field in the last 3 years. Gold
he's a much
glove.
better right fielder than he was.
Won a platinum glove in 2021. Or sorry, not 2021, 2024. You're right. Or no, 2023, right?
I thought it was last year.
No, I thought it was 2023. Because he did not particularly have a good season offensively in 2023 when he came back.
And he missed.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Wait, hold on. 2023. Yeah, 2023.
2023.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I get my time mixed up. It's 2023.
Well, he missed half of last year, right, with his leg being broken.
But he's already on the way to winning another Gold Glove in right field. And Gold Gloves are so subjective; they're all about it's like a popularity contest almost. Yeah, they use some metrics and stuff, but the fact that Manny hasn't won a Gold Glove in forever is ridiculous. Anyway, Tatis is doing other things very, very well that he used to not do well, which is defense. And I think, stealing bases, being a menace on the base path. He's always been pretty much the same, other than a couple of years when he wasn't allowed to run because of his shoulder.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, he's not here for his defense, and we love his defense.
Well, I know,
he's
but
not. You didn't sign Fernando Tatis Jr. because he's a brilliant defender. I love his defense too, but that type of player, this type of contract, statute contracts. There's no statutes for defense.
No, I get it, and
and has he stolen 30 bases?
No, he's stolen 29 in a season.
And he runs a little bit this year. He's run a little bit this year, but he's not setting the world on fire with his speed right now, right? They're not giving him maybe the opportunity to do that.
I just think that we have such high expectations of Tatis for him to be like, Hall of Fame numbers, put up Hall of Fame type numbers every single year. But the reality is probably never and not going to do that.
Well, so I agree with you, because you said, I don't like lowering my expectations for the franchise cornerstone. It's just how I feel right now in the moment. I just don't like that. The idea that he signed a statute contract and we've lowered our expectations, not to say he can't relive up to it, but it doesn't seem like what I would say about Ellie is I wouldn't be lowering his future expectations. I'd be betting on his future, as opposed to Tatis, where I'm tempering his future.
And there, you can win both sides of this argument.
Yeah, I agree. It's subjective.
Yeah, it's you can win the argument side of he didn't put up numbers even close to what we saw in his first 3 years in the big leagues.
Right.
And then the other side of the argument is he's still a 6.5 WAR player, Gold Glover in right field, and he hit 30 bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So what? He had a 830 OPS instead of a 960 OPS.
Right.
So, but then you can say on their side, it's like, well, you signed him to be a 960 OPS guy with hit 45 home runs, and is he going to get back to that?
There's no real answer here. I guess the point is you're betting on both. Most franchises would like to build around players like Tatis or De La Cruz, and it goes back to what we always say. I just want to see Tatis lead this team in a huge way, and I think at times he has. I want to consistently see him lead this team moving forward. We can continue the conversation. Plus, John Sadak, TV voice of the Reds. If you missed it earlier, you'll hear it coming up at 4 p.m. David J. from MadFriars at 5. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Jon and Jim again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and things are getting real this summer at Jamul. They've got the Luxe Hotel Tower, a long list of new amenities. You'll have more ways to play and enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Players, when it comes to satisfying your wants and needs, they're not playing around. This is way more than a place to game. It's a place you can play in every possible way. Opening late summer, reservations now open. Just visit JamulCasino.com.
And get ready to elevate your gaming experience with their brand new casino app. Get 200,000 bonus coins when you sign up and enjoy real rewards with every in-app purchase. Play online at PlayJamulCasino.com. That's PlayJamulCasino.com.
Watch all the sports action this summer at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub. Great food, all the action as well, where fandom meets fantastic at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If you missed John Sadak, TV voice of the Reds, you'll hear him coming up at 4 p.m. We also have David J on the show from MadFriars. We'll talk about the state of the system coming up at 5 p.m. as we're getting you ready for Padres and Reds. Last night did complete the 2025 NBA draft.
Man, what a thrilling second round.
The Warriors doubled down on their championship pursuit with 2 late picks to fortify that roster.
Yeah, 2 players that were in the national championship game last year. I asked you the question, is it 3 titles in a row coming up or 4? Because I think they could rip off at least 3 titles in a row now.
Is there anything more clickbaitier and more ridiculous than draft grades? But people do click on it. It is kind of interesting. Like, oh, I'm a Nets fan. How'd we do? Oh, I'm a Warriors fan. How'd we? Well, nobody knows because nobody knew about Shea when the Clippers took him necessarily, or Tyrese Halliburton when who took him? The Kings took him.
Mm-hmm.
Like things are going to change here based on our opinions on draft night.
I feel
with these players.
I feel like of all the major sports leagues, like the NHL has their draft tonight. Do you know that?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Who's the number 1 pick?
Yeah, they do. I agree.
Yeah, who's the number 2 overall pick?
The Islanders. Did the Islanders have the number 1 pick?
They do.
That somehow appeared on my screen earlier.
Guess who has the number 2 overall pick?
Flames.
Wrong. The San Jose Sharks had the number 1 pick last year. They have the number 2 pick this year.
I think the Thrashers do in Atlanta.
Oh, the Thrashers. Watch out.
They moved.
But of all the leagues, who has the most irrelevant draft grades? It's got to be baseball, right?
Well, definitely baseball. If they hand them out, it's 100% baseball.
Like, let's go in order
it's
here.
It's impossible.
I think baseball, the most irrelevant.
Completely irrelevant. I think football's relevant.
Football, I think, is relevant.
You get draft a quarterback.
Yeah. I would go. Here we go. I'm going to go baseball, hockey, basketball, football. As from the most irrelevant to but kind of relevant.
Okay, but hear me out. Top 5 picks. Relevant. Top 5. What hits more? Top 5 picks in the NBA or top 5 picks in the NFL? Hit rate.
Ooh.
Because I feel like with the NFL,
it's all about fit.
Man, it's tough. There's a lot of missed top 5 picks in the NFL. You could have like Zach Wilson. He could be out of the league.
Yeah. And I mean, like Mahomes wasn't a top 5 pick.
What's the other sport? And now the NBA, there's no guaranteed top 5 hit rate either.
No. NBA is tough, man.
Are we confident Ace Bailey is going to be a star for the Jazz?
Why don't we expand it out? What about first
10?
10. First 10 picks.
Do you know VJ Edgecombe is going to be a superstar with the Sixers at number 3?
Is it Edgecombe or Edgecombe?
Edgecombe.
Good name.
It's a good name.
I don't know, John.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. And he's the 3rd overall pick.
Draft grades, man.
So yeah. So you're saying the Warriors, by the way, at ESPN.com. Hold on.
A+, right? A+.
See their grade.
A+.
B.
Again, look.
That's not bad.
It's the question with the Warriors going forward for the next couple of years is how many titles do they win? Is it 3 or is it 4? I think it's going to be multiple. I mean, when you pick up the players they picked up in the draft last night,
dude,
great value. Great. I can't even.
If they could get Steph to make one more postseason run, seriously. Are you expecting more? Postseason run, Western Conference Championship appearance, more than one?
I didn't say Western Conference Championship appearance.
I said postseason run.
Yeah, postseason run.
Is the second round for you?
I thought you were saying just get in the postseason.
No.
Okay.
Every team makes the postseason. He better get to the postseason. I'm saying, how many more Western Conference Finals appearances from Steph Curry in a Warriors uniform?
Is he going to stay healthy?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, that's the whole question.
I can't answer that.
If he stayed healthy, they had a really good shot to make the Western Conference Finals this year.
I agree.
Then they would have got smoked by the Thunder. But there's a run for you there, as long as he stayed healthy.
But they didn't.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, there could be another one in there, but when you run through the West, we did this earlier in the week, there's 5 formidable teams right now. When I say formidable, could win a title.
Rockets, Thunder, Dallas, Lakers, Nuggets, Warriors.
It's good teams, right?
Minnesota.
Yeah. I think you did a good job. Yeah.
Maybe Memphis. They don't trade away Jaren Jackson.
Right. I mean, Lakers kind of on the outside.
Lakers are still good.
But I don't even think you mentioned them, though.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Full year of
Luka,
5 seed. A full year of in shape Luka. Come on, man.
Yeah.
He's eating a bunch of salads.
No, you're right.
In
100%. No, 100%.
So there's 8 teams right there. You got 2 random teams that will be in the play-in. Well, I guess 4. Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
No, those are
San Antonio. with Wemby.
Yeah,
I don't know how good they're going to be, but if he stays healthy.
I mean, I'm just saying, Clippers did win 50 games.
Clippers. Duh.
They won 50 games.
Okay, so yeah, we got legitimately 8 teams that if right now I said, yeah, they make a run to the Western Conference Finals, you wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And then you have the East where you're like
who?
Hey, Cavs, come on down.
Orlando.
You guys are healthy.
Orlando Magic.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's completely different. It's always been like this, or historically it's been like this. The West stacks.
If the Knicks, the Knicks, man, if they can't, well, that's a problem. If they can't make a finals appearance, or at least get close to a finals appearance next year,
with all the injuries in the East,
they got problems, dude.
There's no way I would bet on the Knicks. And if Darren, you're listening, he agrees with me. There's no way I would bet on the Knicks appearing in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, they're not big
next year. They don't have a coach. It's still the New York Knicks.
Yeah,
they were favored to beat the Pacers this year at home court.
Yeah, problem.
So anyway, draft grades are in, and the Warriors got a bid.
What did the Dallas Mavericks get?
I mean, it was their only pick, right? I think it was their only pick.
No, they had another pick. Or no, sorry, they signed Nembhard, the kid from Gonzaga.
Yeah, Andrew Nembhard. Yep.
The brother of
Ryan Nembhard on the Pacers.
Correct.
By the way, Lamont Butler, congratulations in order. He got a 2-way deal, which means he could appear in up to 50 NBA games next year on a 2-way contract. He could make upwards of $600,000. He signed with the Atlanta Hawks last night, which is an incredible accomplishment. The 2-way deals, Jaden Ledee didn't get a 2-way. Those are tough to come by. Mm-hmm. And that basically secures a little bit of your future as well. That's a huge deal for Lamont.
He had a draft party last night. A lot of former Aztec players there. Keyshawn Johnson, Miles Bird. I couldn't see who else was there, but
yeah, I think there were some others in there.
There were definitely there's former Aztec players there.
Yep.
And he looked excited, as he should be.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I obviously he would have loved to be drafted, but temper expectations and gets to sign with a team that he could realistically play for next year. The Atlanta Hawks,
right
now, they did trade for Kristaps Porzingis, so maybe they think like, hey, we can make the postseason next year. But Kristaps has to be healthy, and but
they'll have opportunities. Those 2-way guys typically have opportunities. The way the NBA is now.
Yeah.
And by the way, San Diegan was drafted out of the Mountain West. Kobe Sanders went 50th overall to the Clippers. The Clippers acquired Kobe Sanders, who was out of San Diego, played for the Nevada Wolfpack this past year. All right. If you missed our conversation with the Reds TV voice, John Sadak, you'll hear it on the other side. A reminder, the Padres are in a delay to start. So John Sadak on the other side, plus David J. from MadFriars. He will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We're about a month out, inside of 5 weeks between now and the trade deadline in Major League Baseball. We've got a giveaway to share with you coming up in the 4 o'clock hour as well. We have tickets to give away to see Billy Idol. This will be Tuesday, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. $30 concert tickets going on, by the way. It's the Summer of Live Music. You can check those out at livenation.com/ticket to summer. By the way, last night at Snapdragon Stadium was one of the biggest events in the history of the stadium. Shakira.
I was wondering what that was when I was driving home. And then when I got home, I saw pictures. Oh, dude.
Oh, my gosh. Holy moly.
Shakira, bro. Come on.
Spectacle.
Shakira.
Shakira. Unbelievable. Like, but just the whole setup and the fanfare. They have overhead shots. It looked ridiculous last night at Snapdragon Stadium. All right. On the other side, John Sadak, TV voice of the Reds. That's next. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update's brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, Padres and Reds. First pitch in 20 minutes at 4:20. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Nick Martinez for the Reds. Texas State is expected to accept an invite to the Pac-12. The school will vote on that on Monday to complete the conference. And SDFC takes on Dallas tomorrow night on the road, 5:30 kickoff time, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rebate funds are running out fast. Don't get left behind. At Anderson Plumbing, they're buying back your old water heater and giving you $500 in instant savings. Call Anderson Plumbing PHA today. Nobody wows clients like they do.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
I think it's been very similar conversations to last year. Open to going any direction, but understanding that if we have a chance to win, we're going to do everything we can to win a championship here in San Diego. That's a strong statement from the general manager at this point in the year. If they're fully in it, he will get rid of young prospects in an effort to win immediately.
When they traded away James Wood, CJ Abrams, Gore, and Hassel, and Susanna, right? The job just doesn't stop there to build back your minor league system.
Right, it doesn't work like that.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim getting you ready for the Padres, as Jim told you, in about 20 minutes. Still ahead, David J. from MadFriars and the Wrap, plus Billy Idol tickets we'll give away later this hour. We were joined by John Sadak, the third-year TV voice of the Cincinnati Reds earlier, and you're going to hear that conversation right now. We started it by asking John about the Reds' recent good play. Take a listen.
You got it. I'm glad to be with you. I've missed you. And I think the biggest thing, I appreciate it, dude. We had many shared days in the minor leagues.
Too many.
Listening that are unaware. A lot of bus rides in the Carolina League and the International League.
You're not kidding.
But I think the difference for the Reds of late has mostly centered on Elly De La Cruz. He's playing at an all-star caliber level this year. Switch hitter with power who has shown even more balance right side of late. Many teams on the year and his career have elected to bring in lefties, particularly in late game situations, turn around and make him bat right-handed. And he is not only hitting for higher average in that time, he's hitting with more authority and power to all fields. They're not just pulled. He's been able to launch balls to right center as well. And when he is hot, this team is just plain better. He tends to get better as the weather warms. There is some rhythm to what he's doing as well. Background with a man who once wore the Padres uniform. He spent a couple of off seasons ago working on taking pitches and having more balance from Juan Soto. And I think the biggest dividends are being seen and felt this year. The strikeout rate, it's still high. He does strike out, but it's lower, markedly lower. And the walk rate is up, and he is doing damage.
First year of managing for Terry Francona in a Reds uniform. What's it been like to cover Terry Francona, and how is he, trying to change the culture there in Cincinnati?
I think you're spot on, and he's a future Hall of Fame manager who has an instant sense of trust. He has been there, done that, and he gives that trust immediately. And it's up to you to work and continue to maintain it, so to still earn it every single day. He has galvanized the clubhouse in a market fashion. He is a believer in his players, but he's also a clear communicator. There is a sense of responsibility. A good example is in the extra inning game against the Yankees the other night. They get the tying run home. Elly De La Cruz advancing from first, looped around second base, and then spun around off the bag, waiting to celebrate with his teammates. He forgot the score. He thought the game was over. That was directly addressed after the game. They had a conversation, and he praised Elly for how he handled it. The fact that Elly came back into his office again after that to speak of it a second time. And there's no hate there. It's just a direct professional moment. And he said he opened the conversation with Elly. The best players in the game don't do that. And Elly readily agreed. And I think you can then address it in that moment and then move on. And that's one of the many examples of the year that they're not perfect. They still make mistakes. The Reds were highly successful running last year, but also did lead the league in outs on the bases. There was a lot of risk and reward. This year, they're running less. They're running more in situations that make more sense. And even beyond pure steals, there's just a greater awareness for the baseball play, the baseball moment. Santiago Espinal, who's at one point was thrust into a more regular role after a result of other poor performance and injury. He ran a butcher boy play against Cleveland where they were crashing hard, running a wheel to take away a bunt. He saw the situation, and then he was able to instinctually react. And there's freedom for players to independently do that while it's also being coached. That give and take of responsibility and also autonomy and authority to make plays in the moment, but always do it within the context of what's smart and right for the team.
Really good insight. Jon Sadak, the TV voice of the Reds. Again, Padres and Reds game 1 will come up in less than 2 hours. To continue the LA conversation, I want to say that there were some quotes or reporting about the possibility of the Reds looking at an extension with Ellie earlier this year. I know that's not ongoing right now. Is there any discussion about what something like that is going to look like? Like, there may be a scenario where Ellie at one point is like the richest player in the history of baseball, right?
That's very possible. And I would imagine, this is only my pure personal speculation, that has to be part of the reason for an impasse, right? Because I don't think he's hit his ceiling. And I don't think Ellie believes he's hit his ceiling. And if he were to actually hit the ceiling, not to go full Michael Jordan on you here, but it's not the roof. It's beyond that. This young man, his skills are otherworldly outstanding. He throws as hard as anyone in the game. He's as fast as anyone in the game. He hits the ball as hard as anyone in the game. If he fully realizes all of that, and I think there is a very good chance that he could, you're talking about short-list best players in baseball. You're talking about the Judge Ohtani conversation. Is that going to happen? There's still a gulf there. I mean, he's a very, very good player, but he's flawed. He's in his second full season of the big leagues. He's 23 years old. And I would look to the comp of, while he's down right now, Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. over a similar span of time, a major league experience with a similar age. It wasn't until around this point a year ago that he really started to skyrocket. And I think that potential window is there. He's hitting the heck out of it for 2 weeks now on a team that doesn't afford him a ton of protection. That's where the return of Hayes will be interesting, because Ellie's hot as Hayes comes back. He has to find his own rhythm, but Hayes has done that already when he's been hurt once before this year. So I don't know. I mean, I think if he were to totally hit the ceiling of what he can do, he's going to reset the number. And at some point, we're going to be talking about $1 billion player.
John, because of the off day yesterday for both teams, Padres are going to miss rookie phenom Chase Burns. He had an electric debut on Tuesday against the Yankees. Just how good is this kid already? What's the limit for him? And what baseball fans expect to see out of Chase Burns going forward?
The arm is legit. And even more than the arm, the stuff. The fastball is plus. The slider is plus. He struck out the first 5 Yankees in succession to begin the game with a big crowd and a lot of energy. That moment could be too big for many, and he was able to harness and stay within himself. I would also point to the bigger thing for me, because I felt like they were kind of known. We saw that when he was at Wake Forest. We saw that in the minor leagues. Doesn't mean it directly, immediately translates to the big leagues, but that stuff is the stuff. The changeup to me is the pitch that stunned me, because it was a pitch that he did not use all that much, really, until he got to Double-A. He skyrocketed A-ball, Double-A, Triple-A, 13 total starts. He's the second fastest by minor league appearances to the big leagues through the minors of any pitcher in Reds history. The changeup at Double-A is where he was first challenged and told, you need to throw this. Even in situations where you can get the out, because he was straight dominating, you have to use it in these game situations. And you can look at his stats, knowing that he started the changeup then, it was pretty good. And then he showed it in the big leagues. He showed it against Bellinger, throws him on a changeup in the lower third. He showed it against Trent Grisham. He was willing and able to execute it for outs and for strikeouts in a big league game. The fact that he could and was able to do that in start number 1, wow. My own personal expectations, which are high for a young man with incredible talent and great moxie and a fiery competitor, went up even higher when I saw that true third pitch wasn't a show-me pitch. It is a major league game-ready pitch.
And I mean, in the Central, you got Burns, you got Skeens, and Mizorowski for the Brewers. I mean, the Central is shaping up to have 3 of the best, young pitchers already in baseball.
Very much. And also consider the Reds right now are down Hunter Green. It was only 25 himself and also throws 100 and was having a Cy Young caliber year. He got votes last year, deservedly. If he wasn't hurt over the last, third of the season or so, missed about 4 or 5 weeks, I think he would have finished even higher. I thought he was the Reds' best starter last year. And he began this year in a similar boat. He had at one point over about a calendar year time from early July last year through the first 2 months of this year, the second best ERA in baseball. So the plan right now is that he's going to join the team on the next road trip in Boston and throw. The team will get some eyes on him. He's been sidelined with a groin injury. He was lifted with a groin injury in Atlanta after he had struck out the side and hit 99.8 on his last pitch. So, yes, there's tremendous talent. Skeens is fantastic. The Skeens Mizorowski game, I thought, lived up to the hype the other day. Mizorowski had, 12 pitches at 100 in the first inning, 6-7. What a time to be a baseball fan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, before you go, Nick Martinez, I mean, obviously Padres fans are familiar. He's put together good seasons. It looks like his ERA is elevated here in 2025, and he hasn't pitched as well maybe his last handful of times out. What have you seen from Martinez here in 2025?
The first 2 months were a lot like he was the last 6-7 weeks of last year. He closed as the Reds' best pitcher over that stretch last season, but also lined up with some of the time when Hunter was hurt. He got rocked by Minnesota 2 Thursdays ago. Failed to go 3, just didn't have it that day. And you well know, because you guys saw him, he's a rhythm pitcher. When he's in rhythm, he is shut down. When he's out of rhythm, he can be more prone. So how about this? Terry Francona goes to him days after he got shellacked by the Twins and says, Nick, I have an idea. I want you to have a chance to flush this bad day. You had a bad day. Let's let it go. I want you to pitch in relief instead of throwing aside. Throw in St. Louis over the weekend. And you well know he did it with the Padres more than anywhere. He can volley between the rotation to the bullpen. And he's also a gamer, highly fiery, very competitive. Instantly was in, went 2 perfect innings in St. Louis. The plan was for him to then go back into his rotation spot. But he went back to the skipper and said, I have an idea for you. We can keep Brady Singer a normal rest, let him pitch the Wednesday finale against the Yankees, and I can give you an inning in relief on Monday and then start Friday against the Padres. And Tito said at first he was a little uncertain about it. That was asking a little bit more, different change of pace. And Nick assured him, I had you on Saturday. I can get you on Monday. What's he do? A 1-2-3 7th inning in a Reds win against the Yankees.
Wow. That's great insight. That's great insight. John, have a great call. We will see you in San Diego in September, and appreciate you taking time for us before the game.
Likewise. Be well, y'all.
All right. Padres Reds coming up. That was the TV voice of Cincinnati, John Sadak. We'll get to the wrap on the other side. David J. from MadFriars joins us at 5 p.m. This is Jon Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. SDFC back tomorrow night. They'll take on FC Dallas. You can hear the match live tomorrow starting at 5 right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. Getting you ready for this Padres Reds series. David J. from MadFriars will join us at 5 p.m. But right now, let's get to this.
Time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Who would you rather have, Ellie De La Cruz or Fernando Tatis Jr.?
That's a trick question, and it's a trap.
Oh, that's still in there? That's a trick question and a trap.
Correct.
After spending 10 minutes on it.
Yep. It's your fault, John.
I think it's a good question. I'm not going to shy away, but I'm not going to answer it. Next question.
Maybe what career would you have so far leading up to, like, what career would you rather have so far? I don't know.
Tatis probably. He's played 7 years. Right. At least like 2 years in.
Ellio's probably going to get a bigger contract than Tatis.
Not even close. Not even close. Next question.
Should the NBA add games to the regular season?
Do you know why I'm asking that?
No.
Because the NHL added games. Their new labor deal they just signed, they went from 82 to 84.
Why?
Create more revenue for the players and the league.
Okay.
That's why they did it. Hence the question, should the NBA add games?
No. Like, what's the point? That doesn't make
money.
I get it, but other than that, there's no point.
None.
And the players union would be like, what are we doing here?
But the NHL went along with it because the players are going to make that much more. Like,
I get it.
3% more.
Contracts will be bigger. I mean, the NBA contracts are already just skyrocketing. Like when Luka gets an opportunity, actually, I'll take that back. When Jokic gets the opportunity at a contract extension from the Nuggets next year, that thing is going to be a ridiculous contract.
Yeah, 100%.
And he deserves it.
I mean, the NBA contracts don't compare to the NHL.
Like, Steph's getting paid like $50, $60 million a year. Forget who it was that's going to get like $80 million a year. Forget who it was, but.
Well, that's the reason.
Was it Shea? No, it wasn't Shea. I forget.
The highest paid NHL player makes $13 million.
Yeah, the highest paid baseball player makes is Juan Soto. How much a year does he get?
Yeah, exactly. Or like Ohtani.
40. Ohtani gets.
Dude, there's guys
$2 million a year.
There's guys coming off benches in the NBA making more than the highest paid player in the NHL.
Yeah, random guys in the NBA get $150 million contracts.
Yeah, and the highest paid player in the NHL is making 13-ish per year. So I get playing more games to maybe create more revenue. They shouldn't do it though in the NBA. Next question.
Is the Pac-12 done expanding after adding Texas State?
I think as of right now, yes, but they're still always going to be looking. We haven't really, talked about this today, but it's now pretty much official. Monday's the day where it becomes official, and they'll have the press releases and the Instagram posts and the Twitter posts and all that stuff like that. But I don't think they're done. I don't think they're just going to settle. I think what they needed is another team to finish off the football conference side, and they got that. And eventually in the future, they'll probably look to add as many as they possibly can add.
Yeah, I still like the number 9 for football, and they're at 8. 9 makes sense because you can play 8 conference games. 8, you might have to play someone twice to get to 8 conference games. So I still think they could make an addition. I don't know if it'll be for 2026. I think there could be a basketball edition as well, potentially. So, no, I do not think they're done. But it does allow them to compete moving forward as a full league, so to speak, with 8 different members beginning in 2026 for football. Next question.
Does Barry Bonds deserve the statue he's getting from the Giants?
So did you hear about this?
Yeah.
The Giants are building a statue for Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
20 years after, well, not 20 years. About 20 years after his retirement. There's been a lot of discussion on this. I saw Jeff Pearlman. You know who Jeff Pearlman is?
Writer.
Yeah, he posted like a TikTok today, and he was very upset about it. He's like, a-holes like Barry Bonds don't deserve statues. PTI today, they had it as like their 3rd topic on PTI about Barry Bonds getting a statue.
I have no issue with it.
I don't have an issue with it either. If the Giants want to do it, the Giants can do it. The thing is, Bonds was a D-bag and an a-hole to like a lot of people in San Francisco, including inside that organization. And then for them to turn around 20 years later and be like, you know what? We'll give you a statue. Kind of weird because he didn't treat people the right way his entire time with the Giants, but his numbers are his numbers, and
Here's what I would say. It's also based on what does the fan base think of Bonds. You're not going to build a statue for someone that isn't a well-liked figure, I wouldn't imagine. As in, if the fan base is clamoring for it, then I think that's more of a reason to give it to him than what type of guy he is. We always talk about this too with guys in the Hall of Fame, which Bonds isn't. It's not a contest to determine who are good people. Traditionally, the Hall of Fame. Now, it does keep steroid users out historically.
Yeah, it's not the Hall of Are You a Good Person?
Right. And same thing with statues. It's not the statue of Are You a Good Person? His numbers stack up, obviously. Is he a beloved figure in Giants history, whether people in the media like him or not? If the answer is yes, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Does the fan base beloved him? If the answer is yes, then I feel like it is deserved. I don't see it as overly controversial. Barry Bonds is one of the best Giants in the history of the franchise. Therefore, Barry Bonds could get a statue. That's how I see it.
Yeah, Giants fan base, I don't think views Barry Bonds as like a controversial figure, even though he is one. I think they just view it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's one of the best Giants players of all time. I don't think he's the most beloved. I don't. I think players like Buster Posey are more beloved than Bonds because he brought 3 World Series championships to the Giants.
Yeah.
Bonds is kind of viewed as like this, I feel like a mythical like person of like he was so great and we were the only fan base that supported him and you know we're gonna embrace it type of thing.
Okay, let me ask you this. Forget about the media part of that. If steroids aren't a part of the conversation, the statue already is up, right? Like if that never was a part of this conversation, it'd already be up.
It's already up.
Yeah, so I think it's more about that. And in this era,
also too, the Giants, they only retire numbers of Hall of Famers. So
his number's not retired.
His number's not retired, but it's like retired because no player since Bond has worn 25.
Right.
They made it a thing like, hey, you're not wearing that number.
Yeah, even though it's not technically retired.
Like I'm sure no one will ever wear 28 again for Buster Posey.
Yeah, I gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
There's like certain players that just don't get but anyway, Bonds is definitely viewed differently in the Bay Area than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I saw some more the other day. I don't have the exact numbers, but it was I'm blanking on the name. It was Dan Levitard.
Mm-hmm.
And he said if you took out all of Barry Bonds' MVP seasons, right?
Just do that.
Take out all of his MVP seasons.
He'd still be good.
He would still have like 440 home runs and 375 stolen bases, which no one in baseball has ever done.
The numbers speak for themselves. It's never a number like he's not in the Hall of Fame because people are like, hey, voters, did you realize he had like a really good career? It's like, oh, he did. The numbers speak for themselves as everything else is the reason why there are no statues, but there will be. There are no Hall of Fame plaques.
But I bet you if Bonds' personality was that of, give me one of the most beloved players.
Ken Griffey.
If his personality was like Ken Griffey Jr. or Derek Jeter,
he would not be in the Hall of Fame. The writers are way too hard line.
I think he'd be viewed differently.
He might be viewed differently, but there's no world where he's in the Hall of Fame. You know how they view this.
I think he would have got closer.
Yeah, maybe closer, but he hasn't gotten that close, has he? What's the most percent of votes he has gotten from voters?
Good question. I want to say in the 60 percentile.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean,
which is not that far off.
Yeah, I think the story is more about the steroids than it is about his personality.
Highest percent.
All right, we'll answer that on the other side. Plus, we'll give away Billy Idol tickets, plus David J. from MadFriars at 5 p.m. This is Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. We're underway in Cincinnati, scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first inning. San Diego FC, they take on Dallas tomorrow night, 5:30 kickoff. 5 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Texas State is expected to accept their invite to the new Pac-12. They're going to vote on that as a school on Monday. Progressive is here for all of life's needs with protection for your home, auto, business, and more. From timely repairs to customizable coverages and payment options, they make it easy. See if you can save at progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
All right, congratulations to my brother, Matthew Schaefer, who went #1 overall, the Islanders. Good job, bro.
Are we like an Islander show now?
We're an Islanders show. If it was my
Go
brother.
Islanders.
Matthew Schaefer, just like that. #1.
Your bro.
Good for Matthew. Good for the
Good
Islanders.
for your family.
Good, yeah, exactly.
You can be his long lost cousin. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of those.
Seriously, you're not kidding. A lot of people are coming out of the woodworks for that. All right, you were just talking about the Bonds statue in San Francisco. To localize it, what's it take for the next statue outside, inside, around Petco?
Oh, we're going statue talk here again?
Yeah, I mean, we just spent 5 minutes on Bonds. I think we could spend 5 minutes on Padres.
I remember, when was it?
You said absolutely not on a couple years ago on Machado unless they win a series. I could find the audio.
That was like last year.
Year.
Well,
has your tune changed?
Yeah, I mean, the dude's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna. How many Padres records is he gonna hold?
Now, I will say this.
Okay.
Now Dave Winfield went into the Hall of Fame as a Padre, even though he may have got a little money to go in as a Padre.
Yeah, right. To be wearing a Padres hat.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't have a statue of him.
Right.
His number is retired though.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Tony and Trevor.
Right.
Other than that, Padres don't really have many like statue type of players in the organization.
Right. Maybe until this type of era. It's early for a lot of them. It's not as early for Machado.
No.
He's kind of told half the story in his Padres career to this point.
I think they're going to give him a statue now.
That was my kind of point. He's going to be the all-time leader in home runs. He's going to be the all-time leader in hits.
Yeah,
for them.
I think he deserves a statue, or will deserve a statue if they don't win a World Series, or if he doesn't like win an MVP. And I mean,
do you think he has to play in a World Series? Does that change it for you? Because those players that have the statues have played in World Series.
If he played in a World Series, then he'd have an opportunity to win, NLCS MVP.
True.
And those are big. I mean, those are definitely something that you'll always remember.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, to me, to fully solidify it, make no mistake, the World Series helps a lot. I mean, that fully solidifies it. I just don't know if it's a prerequisite.
You know what? I have to go back and probably say that you're right. I mean, with the history of this franchise, if anything good comes along, it's like, we got to promote it. And we got to make sure that we do something.
Giveaway. You could do a statue giveaway night.
Yeah, you look at the Padres Hall of Fame, and Bochy's going in later I think next week.
Is he? You keep saying that. Is that accurate?
Well, the Rangers are coming to town. I want to.
Okay, but is he going in the Hall of Fame next week?
Hold on. Hold on a second here.
You'll look that up.
Bochy, Padres.
Machado already has the most home runs. He's going to have the most RBIs. You know what I mean? He's going to have the most hits. Well, no, he's not going to have the most hits. There's Tony Gwynn. But, I mean, he's going to be top 2 in everything. Just everything.
All right, so he probably will.
For the time being.
Yeah, he probably will.
But does it make you a little uncomfortable? The way you say it?
No, I just, statues, you kind of got to go above and beyond.
I agree with that.
But when you do become a Hall of Famer and you go in as a Padre, which he will go in as a Padre, that is, I think, enough to warrant the conversation to have a statue.
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I'm more on your team. I would prefer, as all San Diegans listening that are Padres fan, I want him to rubber stamp it by winning in the postseason. I also want to see Machado perform in the postseason.
Right.
He has not. So, that's the way to really definitively do it. So, and by the way, I don't think he would have it now. He has a lot of work to do. He still has 5, 7, 8 seasons in a Padres uniform, whatever it ultimately ends up being.
Yeah.
So he has a lot to do. I don't think he's deserving of the statue now. I'm just basing it out if 30 home runs a year for another 5 years, if another 800 plus hits, then I think you start to really have the conversation.
I do feel like those statues are more than just about like, oh, he went to the Hall of Fame. Does every Hall of Famer for every franchise have a statue?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's stuff that every Hall of Famer has for certain franchises. I'm sure, certain organizations for every Hall of Famer, the numbers automatically retired. Jersey automatically retired.
Mm-hmm.
Statues,
right?
Like, is there, like they have the Jordan statue in Chicago. Sure. Is there a Pippen statue? Unless I'm mistaken, maybe there is. I don't know.
That.
Is there a Phil Jackson statue?
Right, like doesn't Yankee Stadium more go with Monument Park than it goes with statues?
Yeah, I don't think there's a Babe Ruth statue. It's Monument Park.
There's the Monument Park behind center field.
Right.
Yeah, you bring a good point. A really good point.
So it's not an automatic.
No, it's not.
Like you make the Hall of Fame, guess what? You get a statue. Statues are like you've done something to become immortal with that franchise. Is making the Hall of Fame. Can you define that as you have become immortal?
It's tough. I mean, the Padres have played for 57 years. They have a couple of guys in Cooperstown.
I'll say this: if he does lead this team to a World Series, then yes, you're immortal.
100%.
You're everybody will be.
But also, everyone gets a statue. Tyler Wade, come on down.
Yeah, dude, everyone gets a statue. Who cares?
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
But if he just puts together like good seasons after good seasons,
but never wins in the postseason.
Yeah, a couple more All-Star appearances, doesn't win an MVP. He'll be a Hall of Famer because he puts up numbers. But like,
what about Toddy?
The statue contract stuff.
He's way further off the Machado.
Are we in for another? Just switching gears here. Are we in for another disappointing night from Dylan Cease?
What we are in for is a disappointing night from his defense. 2 errors in the first inning. Tatis overran a ball, and then the catcher just had the ball go through his glove. Not an error, but a pass ball.
Who's catching tonight?
Someone that has a glove that doesn't work.
Is it Maldonado or Diaz?
You tell me. Whatever I have no idea.
I'm going to look right now, and it is Maldonado.
All right. So, I mean, a very poor start for Cease, you're right. And for the defense, Tatis, an error. Maldonado, a ball that he didn't hold on to, went back to the backstop. And just like that, the Reds, this is an offensive park. You can't expect to go into games in Philadelphia and Cincinnati and win 3-2 or 2-1. It doesn't work that way. And it's early, and they'll have to overcome at least a 2-run deficit tonight. And the Cease story continues. That's why I asked Kevin. I said, how do you characterize his year? And, it's hard to really know. He said he had a 3.5 ERA in his last 7 starts, but that includes an outing against the Dodgers where he was awful. Mm-hmm. Remember that outing?
I do.
That's 6 runs in that start. So, I don't know. I need more out of Dylan Cease. I agree with you. I need more out of Dylan Cease.
Like, also, can you put up 5 or 6 runs on the board tonight, guys?
They're going to need to.
You can't keep expecting to try to win these low-scoring 1-run games. You put up 1 run on the board on Wednesday, and luckily you held it, but you got to do more than that. As Kevin said earlier with us, like, you got to figure out a way to consistently put up 4+ runs a game.
Yeah, what do you say? They have one of the best records in baseball scoring 3 runs or less, and they're 10 games under 500 scoring 3 runs or less. And that's one of the best records in baseball. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to win when you're not scoring. Rocket science, I know.
Wow.
In fact.
What?
But yeah, I mean, a series like this and a road trip like this requires that fall out of bed 5 runs to win games.
Yep. And you can't fault Schilt right now because he's doing everything he possibly can to try to get to jumpstart this lineup. He's switching things up. He's moving guys around. For all the people out there, all Padres fans that were upset, why isn't Mike Schilt changing the lineup? Well, he's changed the lineup multiple times now. And guess what? It still hasn't worked as of yet.
Good point.
Small sample size. Mm-hmm. I agree. Small sample size. Only 4 games of this new look lineup?
Yeah, something like that.
3 games in 1 inning.
Yeah, exactly.
so there's still plenty of time. They could come out tonight and the next 8 innings put up 7 runs, and hopefully that's enough. But at some point it gets to, all right, hey guys, look yourself in the mirror. You're going to need to perform. Mm-hmm. I'm putting you in all these different positions to try to get things going, and it's still not working. There's only so little that Mike Schilt can do from this point forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. With what they have, and by the way, nobody's expecting some crazy change at the trade deadline. We're like, man, look at what they added.
They just added Aaron Judge.
30 home run hitters.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So you're right. These guys have to perform. And listen, this game is early. The Padres could absolutely win it, but not a good start for San Diego in Cincinnati, trailing 2-0 after one inning at the Great American Ballpark. David J will join us coming up at 5 p.m., and we'll talk about the Padres at the midway point in the minor leagues, about a month out from the trade deadline. David J from MadFriars. Plus, on the other side, let's give away some tickets. We have Billy Idol tickets. Do not call now. We'll tell you when to call. Pair of tickets to see Billy Idol. This is part of Live Nation's $30 ticket to summer. And this concert's coming up this September, Tuesday, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Make it a summer of live music with $30 concert tickets to 1,000 plus shows. On sale now, livenation.com/ticket to summer. David J. MadFriars at 5 p.m. We'll give away those tickets on the other side. We're here until 6. This is Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We're heading out to a card show tomorrow. Brent, did you realize this? We're heading to a card show tomorrow.
Where?
It's a 2-day card show here in San Diego.
It's in Mission Valley next to the golf course at the Handlery Hotel.
Yes.
Is it free?
We were thankfully provided with tickets. Shout out to Jonathan, who's going to be there.
It's like $10 to get in.
Yeah, I think it's $10 to get in for each of the days, maybe 15 for two. Jim, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just find this from Jonathan, who's going to be there real quick. Yeah, sdsportsmem.com. He's the one that said, hey, I got tickets for you guys.
Yeah.
So we're heading out there tomorrow. Now, it's about, here's the thing. According to the website, it's 55% Pokemon, which is Jim.
Yeah.
It's 45% sports, which is me and 6-year-old Jones.
Correct.
So Jones doesn't know about Pokemon. Don't get him into Pokemon.
How does he not know about Pokemon?
Well, he knows about it. But he's like, I don't get it. I'm like, either do I. It's whack. Anyway, let's talk more about Tyrese Halliburton.
I'm going to give him a card tomorrow that's like shiny and he's going to fall in love with Pokemon cards. You know that, right?
No, don't do that. Give him like a Tatis. Okay. Give him a Tatis.
Like, look at this shiny card. Ooh.
So are you a big buyer tomorrow? By the way, we're giving away Billy Idol tickets. We'll do it in 5 minutes. And David J will join us at 5 p.m. But like, are you bringing cash? Are you bringing cards?
Well, one, I don't know what to expect. I've never been to like a card show like this before.
In your life, even as a kid?
No.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I mean,
dude.
maybe as a kid,
yeah.
but I went to card shops, not card shows.
See, we used to do shows as kids.
I don't know what to expect. It's like a kid in a candy store. I'm going to want everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have to show some incredible restraint.
Yeah, you do.
But I am going to bring some of my cards tomorrow just to see, like,
you're trying to wheel and deal.
Maybe a little wheel and dealing. I don't know.
Now, to like, okay, if you bring cards, are you looking for cash or are you looking to trade up?
I think I might be looking to trade up. Now, I tried to explain this to Erin last night.
How'd that go?
Did not go over well.
Because she's probably thinking, wait, if these cards have value, why don't you just get cash and like buy us something?
100%. So I have this one card that raw, the value of it's around $400 near mint condition. And so I was telling her about it and saying like, oh, I think I might trade this card tomorrow for other cards and whatnot. And I was telling her how much it's valued at. And she goes, cool, that will pay for our Las Vegas trip in next month. And I go, no. I want to, if I don't trade it, I'm going to want to keep it. She goes, why?
She sees it as like money. You see it as like, I just want to hold it in my hand.
And she said
I
that.
get her point.
She said that. She goes, what are you going to do with it? Just look at it? I go, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at
Put
it.
it in like
our retirement.
Put it in a shoebox.
No, I don't
Or
want
like put it in a binder.
Yeah.
Like just have it so you can like hug it.
Yeah. So
at times.
The thing is, and she's not listening, so it's okay. But if I come home with a couple cards tomorrow, it'll probably be because of trade. I don't think I'm gonna be like, yeah, let me spend $200 on some cards tomorrow.
Okay.
Even though I
You
might be
want to.
very tempted. It might be a problem.
Well, Kristen told me, because I told Jones we're going, he's all excited. We went to one other and I got him a whole box. He's all about quantity. He doesn't know about quality, right? So I bought him a box of 1990 Donruss baseball for $10. It was like 700 cards. But Kristen's like, listen, his budget is $10 tomorrow. I'm like, $10? Like, let's live a little. I'm like, a pack is like $7. Yeah, I got him a $10 cheap box previously, but I can't bring him to a card show. There's so much going on. I'd be like, hey, or you can have one thing.
There's a card that I've been eyeing recently.
Okay.
And it costs like $65 to $70.
Mm-hmm.
It's a graded card. It's a PSA 9 card. And I think it's very reasonable because a PSA 10 in this card's like $300. I'm like, wait a second here. So I get the whole grading system and whatnot, but the cards are essentially identical.
Right. But one's worth
70, the other one's worth 300.
Yeah.
I'll go with the $70 one.
Right.
So if I do see that card tomorrow, I might pull the trigger. Or I might say, could you trade this card for that card? And then I maybe add another card or two. So I could come home with like 3 cards for my one card. or I just spend $70 and I keep the card that I've had for a long time and I get this new card. I don't know.
Here's the other thing, Brian. I'll get you in 1 second. Here's the other thing. Be prepared, because I've been to a couple here over the last month or two. There's a good amount of people.
I know.
People definitely get into it. I feel like there's a buzz about just collecting. Maybe it's just us getting into it.
But there's a lot of buzz.
It's not just like going to be like 20 people. Like it's pretty busy.
Did you see the Fanatics Fest?
That's like the Super Bowl.
I know, but still, that shows how big card collecting is.
But I'm saying like you don't get as much maybe face time. Like you're gonna have to make some decisions. You're not just gonna be standing there talking to the dealer for like 20 minutes.
I know.
There's gonna be a guy to your left, guy to your right. You don't get as much of. You're just trying to have some time and talk about things. It's harder to do that. I noticed that the last couple of times.
Let me just role play here a second.
Okay, let's role play.
All right, I'm the dealer. You're the dealer. I'm myself.
Welcome to Bob's Pokemon stand. 10% off everything today only.
10% off. Hey, how much for that PSA 9 Blastoise over there?
$16,000, but for you, $14,400 because it's 10% off.
No, let's be realistic.
Okay, $100.
$100.
How much? $100.
Could you do 70?
No, I'm the dealer. I'll do 90.
Can you do 75?
No, man. Look at this place. It's packed. Thanks for coming by.
Are you willing to trade?
Yeah. We could put trade as part of it. Yeah.
All right. Would you what would you trade for this first edition?
What's it worth?
Dragonite. You look it up. It's worth
it's
the
60?
last 5 sales have equaled out to $385
combined.
So
like, okay, I'll give you
the average sale.
Yeah, I'll give you 70. And this is 100. I want 85 for it. Will you do the card plus $20?
No, you just ripped me off.
Yeah, that's my style when it comes to math. Would you do the card plus $10? That's like an $80 value.
As a card vendor, are you going to take the card for full value, or are you going to take it for like 80% so you can make a buck on it?
You're going to try to take it for
80 or 90% of its value.
So that's what I'm saying. I'll take your card plus $20.
All right, so if the card is 80% of the value of $380, it's about $300.
Oh, for one card was $380?
Yeah. So my card I have is $380.
Okay, so
I'm looking to trade that card.
I'll give you $300 for it.
All right, how about I get that Blastoise, and then you give me $200.
Okay. Yeah, 180. It's a deal.
190. It's a deal.
Done.
Shake on it.
All right, we
Good
did
deal.
it.
All right, so I got my card in the 100. I got my card that I wanted and $190.
Yeah, that's good. And then you bring it home to Aaron and say, "Let's go out to dinner."
Okay.
Brian, what do you got?
Now, Jim already hinted at it. Is there any card or a player card that if you see it, you're just gonna be like, okay, this is gonna be my exception? If there's another yes, because Jim already hinted
for me.
No, for you.
For you, dude.
If you come across another like Lamont Butler card or something, and you're just like,
awesome.
oh no.
I've been buying Aztec stuff, Brian. It's a really good question.
I feel like you have to have a strategy going into this thing.
Because like when I go to Comic-Con, I'll be like, I'm not going to get anything unless I see like
the problem,
X
dude.
Funko Pop. Then it's like, that's on no matter what it is.
I have expensive taste with some of this stuff. So I'll give you an example. Because I went to Lower Merion High School, I now want to collect Kobe Bryant. The problem with collecting Kobe Bryant is twofold. He's one of the greatest players in the history of the league. He untimely passed, and I want to collect him. It's like, you know what I mean? So like, Kobe's not the type of player you're going to collect and be getting deal after deal after deal. You're paying a premium, right? There's a lot of, especially in Southern California, a lot of passionate Kobe Bryant collectors. Right. So yeah, I mean, I might see a Kobe card and be like, I want it, but I also don't want to take out a second mortgage on my house.
So I get that. But you do have to have a plan going into this.
I got it. Well, what's our plan?
I told you my plan. I'm looking at there's realistically 3 cards that I want. But if I walk away tomorrow with 1 card, I feel really good. One of them might be too pricey, and I'd have to like trade straight up my card for that card if it's graded.
Right.
But I think if I walk out of there like what we just did there with a card that I want plus an extra $190 in cash,
that's a win. Honestly, if you walk out of there with a card and maybe $100 in your pocket that you could spend collectively with Aaron, you've won.
I have one,
right?
Yes.
That would be one of my, or walk out with $50 and say, let's go to dinner.
Something.
Yeah,
I also want to keep the card that I have. You know what I mean? Like
tell us again. This event is where and when? I just have it in my email.
Okay, hold on. Let me just pull this up here. Yeah, it's tomorrow
and Sunday
from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday at the Handlery Hotel in Hotel Circle. It's $2 hotel prepaid parking validation, and what is it? Just $10 weekend pass, $15 weekend pass online, $10 day pass.
And the website, I think we had it earlier.
Yeah, it's www.sdcollectibles.com.
All right, check it out there, sdcollectibles.com. Maybe we'll see some of our listeners tomorrow morning out there at the SD Collectibles Summer Slam. All right, David J. MadFriars. We'll talk about the state of the Padres system. When will Ethan Salas return from injury? The play of Leo DeVries, about the trade deadline. Coming up next, hour 4, Jon and Jim on the other side. This is San Diego. Oh, hold on. What? Billy Idol tickets. Caller what, Jim? 5. Caller 5, you're going to see Billy Idol. Great giveaway. Tuesday, September 23rd, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call right now. 877-767-4760. Caller 5, you're going to see Billy Idol. 2 free tickets. Tuesday, September 23rd, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, part of the $30 concert ticket, Summer of Live Music, 1,000 plus shows on sale now, livenation.com/ticket to summer. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets to see Billy Idol. 877-767-4760. David J. from MadFriars next on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres and Reds underway in Cincinnati. The Reds lead the Padres 3-0 in the top of the third inning. San Diego FC, they take on Dallas tomorrow night, 5:30 kickoff, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to the game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Texas State will become the newest member of the Pac-12 as the school will vote on that on Monday. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
I think it's been very similar conversations to last year. Open to going any direction, but understanding that if we have a chance to win, we're going to do everything we can to win a championship here in San Diego. That's a strong statement from the general manager at this point in the year. If they're fully in it, he will get rid of young prospects in an effort to win immediately.
When they traded away James Wood, CJ Abrams, Gore, and Hassel, and Susanna, right? The job just doesn't stop there to build back your minor league system.
Right, it doesn't work like that.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. It's always great to reconnect with David J. from MadFriars. And MadFriars is just such a terrific resource for Padres fans. Whether you like the major league team, the minor league teams, whatever you like related to the Padres, you got to check it out at MadFriars. It's great to have David J. back with us on Jon and Jim. There's a lot to get to, David. I just wanted to start with Leo DeVries because there was that game. You know, I kind of casually am keeping up with what's going on in the minor leagues. I remember that game earlier in the year. He hits for the cycle. Well, I looked at his numbers today, and they haven't been overwhelmingly spectacular. I think he's hitting like 243, mid-700s OPS. So I guess my question for you to start is just, how has the season gone to this point for one of the top prospects in baseball and in the system, Leo DeVries?
Hey, Jon, it's good to talk to you guys, and thanks for the chance to hop on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so DeVries really tore it up through April. Was the player of the year in the Midwest, the player of the month in the Midwest League for April. Just out of the gate really fast. He's definitely slowed down since then and struggled through a decent amount of this month, but kind of turned the corner again in the last week. So the production's exactly where you said. He's mid 240s with an average and mid 740s OPS. But even with that, his strikeout rate has been really strong. His walk rate's been really strong. You know, he's 18 years old. He's 3.5, 4 years younger than almost all the pitchers he's facing out there. You know, he's tightened up his defense. He is exactly where you want him to be. You know, I think they're happy with his ability to stay on the field after he had a couple of shoulder injuries last year, and now it's just a matter of really turn it on here in the second half, finish the year strong, and be ready to go out to AA next year.
He's definitely not a name that is on the trade block for anybody. I think he's pretty close to untouchable as it gets. But as we get closer to the trade deadline here, David, what are some names that Padres fans should look at and to know before we get to the trade deadline?
Yeah, I do think you're right that both DeVries and Salas, who's still on the shelf out in the desert and not doing baseball activities yet, I think the two of them you can pretty safely put in the untradeable category. You know, when you look at the organization as a whole, there's a ton of premium depth in late inning relief guys. You know, obviously the guys who are already at the big league level, Bradley Rodriguez, who got a quick cup of coffee, had a little bit of a scare with a upper arm injury, but he got back into action and, you know, was right back at 100 miles an hour with just an absolutely ridiculous changeup to go with it. You know, Tyson Neighbors, a guy they drafted last year who struck out now between high A and double A. He struck out like 44% of the batters he's faced, which is just ridiculous.
Wow.
But they've got a whole fleet of relief arms. A guy, Eduardo Nunez, who they signed as a minor league free agent after he came out of the Cubs system. Second winter in a row that they've gotten a guy with premium stuff who's had trouble with control in the Cubs organization, brought him in and helped him settle down and find the zone a little bit. He's a guy who I think you could see at the big league level freeing up the potential of trading from the position of strength to the big league bullpen. And then, once you start looking at position players, right, you're really looking, I think, at more complementary pieces. You've got some interesting guys at the lower levels. Lamar King Jr. is a catcher who's out at Lake Elsinore this year, who has just been ridiculously hot and not getting a lot of attention in public conversation. But I think largely, there's a perception in a lot of the sort of public spaces, the Padres system is really thin. But there are pitchers at high A and double A at both the starting and relief side, and then a decent number of position guys who've taken steps forward this year and could, I think, really, I know are getting interest from organizations around the game.
Really good insight. David J back with us right now, Jon and Jim from MadFriars. What about like a name or two that might be under the radar? Even for those that have followed this a little more closely, are there some intriguing names maybe in the lower levels of the minor leagues, or guys that we haven't talked about as much, even in AAA, but just doesn't get the same discussion? Like, are there any under the radar players right now in the organization?
I think the organization as a whole is kind of under the radar right now, right? And I think most people, once you get beyond Leo and Ethan, and once you get beyond the first round, the first couple of picks last year with Cash Mayfield and Boston Bateman, who both had solid but not overwhelming starts in Lake Elsinore this year, beyond that, I think most casual observers don't really know any of the names in the system. I think you look at, the fans got a chance during spring training to see the stuff that Braden Nett has. He's had a really impressive year out in San Antonio, and I think a decent number of folks are tracking him. I think Henry Baez, who's actually outperformed him a little bit, is probably a guy that not enough people know. He's a kid who's been in the system since 2019, just turned 22. Has always been a performer for them and has always been young for his age, for the level. He's got a 2.06 ERA out with San Antonio right now, is already on the 40-man roster. And I think, is a guy who pretty much everybody I've talked to around the game sees as a guy who can pitch at the back of a big league rotation. And obviously that's really valuable. And but he hasn't gotten, I think, the attention that a bunch of similar arms and other organizations have.
How do you view the direction of, where AJ Preller potentially could go here at the deadline? Do you think what he may try to accomplish is obtainable, or what's your just overall view of, the needs for this team and the direction here coming up closer to the deadline?
Well, I think my insights here are going to be really unique and outside the box. I think they need to improve a catcher in left field.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's years of watching the system that helps you really get a grip on things like that.
Right. Yeah.
It depends on what he wants to do, right? Like, if the goal is to be better than they are in left field and catcher right now, that doesn't take a whole lot, right? So if what you want is to reduce the negatives and make it, if you could get to league average production out of those two positions, you'd be in a really good place, right? Mm-hmm. Compared to what they've got now. So if you want to do that, I think they can easily, they definitely have the depth and quality to go out and get guys like that. If, to talk in public spaces about what the return for like Jarren Duran
Right.
should or could be has been absolutely absurd. Yeah. apparently the people who are not to name names, but Jim Bowden got dropped on his head at some point, I think, because you look at what he's throwing out there as potential compensation for Jarren Duran, and then you look at what it actually cost to get a guy like Randy Arozarena last year, and the gap is massive. So, how high end do you want to go, and are the prices really trending in that ridiculous direction? If so, then you probably look more middle of the pack. But again, middle of the pack is a massive upgrade from where they are.
So it would be shocking to you, is it correct to say that if a player like Leo DeVries, I think we read from Dennis Lynn, I think Dennis wrote this week, he's maybe the only true untouchable. I think for me and Jim, we'd both be very surprised if either DeVries or Salas were to move this year at the deadline. That would shock you, right? If either of those two players moved between now and the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I think, DeVries because of the upside, Salas because of the combination of the upside, and he's been out of action for as long as he has. I think it just the chance that you could get what you think he's worth in a trade is pretty low. So I would be utterly shocked to see those two guys move this year.
And I know there's not really an update on Salas. He's still recovering from his injury, but having an injury in a year where you kind of wanted to, maybe a lot of people probably wanted to see a little more from him, right? I guess not concerning is the word, but I'll use it. How concerning maybe is his injury here in year 2 for his development?
I think everybody sort of sees it as, we know the players get hurt.
Yeah.
There's, all things equal, rather see him in action on the field and see what's going on. But I don't think anybody's wildly concerned. I mean, it is a lower back injury for a catcher, but as I understand it from my many years in medical school, it's an injury that if he can build up the strength and getting this break shouldn't be something that's a massive ongoing concern. So I think it's frustrating, but it's not problematic.
David, we appreciate you hopping on. As always, obviously a busy month coming up in the organization and, of course, at the major league level with the trade deadline approaching. And again, for our listeners, make sure to check out MadFriars.com, a terrific resource for Padres fans. We'll do it again soon, my friend. Thanks for hopping on.
Sounds good. It's good to talk to you guys.
All right, great stuff from David J. I want to react to that on the other side. We also need to get into one of those stories from earlier related to the Pac-12, because Texas State is almost officially official, plus an update from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, where the Padres right now are trailing the Reds 3-0 in the third inning. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, the iHeartRadio Music Festival back. Live performances by Mariah Carey, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more. September 19th and 20th, T-Mobile in Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out. I'm going to say something profound.
What is it?
If the Padres win this game, it's because of what Dylan Cease just did in the bottom of the third inning. Trailing 3-0, the Reds had runners at second and third with nobody out and didn't score to extend their lead. I think we all agree 3 runs can be overcome. You push that up to 4 or 5 tonight on the road. I don't know how much confidence anyone would have. So Dylan Cease gets out of that spot. Padres have work to do, trailing 3-0 in Cincinnati, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, that was a game-saving, season-saving.
I think more franchise-saving.
Franchise-saving moment.
Universe-saving inning.
Galaxy, universe.
Whatever it is.
Whatever, yeah. How about this? I have a profound statement, John.
Okay.
If the Padres don't score runs, they won't win games.
It's probably true, yeah.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
If the Padres,
if they don't score 4 runs in this game, they probably won't win.
If the Padres don't score more than at least 3 runs in this game,
well, 3 won't be enough.
Score more than 3.
They'll only need more than 3. Yeah.
Which would at least more than 3.
At least,
which means that they would need to score at least 4.
Yeah.
They're not winning this baseball game.
But don't you agree? Seriously, they are a hit away from game over.
Yeah, click.
Right. I mean, 5-0 on the road. It wouldn't
with
look
this
pretty.
Team,
but we've seen some 2-0, 3-0 comebacks, and we saw it last week. They came back from a couple of runs against the Royals. They're capable of coming back from 3 runs. But again, if this stretched out to 4 or 5, the issue remains the issue. The offense has really scuffled no matter what the lineup looks like that Mike Schild is writing each and every day.
Nick Martinez is a nice pitcher.
Nice pitcher.
We all know him here in San Diego. He's not given up a hit so far, and we're in the 4th inning.
It's good reverse jinx. Hopefully that works. I like that.
He's got a 4.25 ERA. He's not allowed to hit. So, and the Reds aren't selling at the deadline, by the way. Everybody out there, go get Nick Martinez. Yeah, they ain't selling, guys.
Yep.
They feel like they might have a shot at this to make a run.
Season. Yeah.
So it sounds really difficult, especially with this team, but scoring runs in baseball, you're going to have to do to win baseball games.
So walk me through that.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Here we go.
There's a pitcher on the mound that has a baseball. And what he does is he throws the ball over this thing called the plate. And there's a catcher behind the plate that catches it. Now, the opposing team has what's called a batter. And they stand inside what's called a batter's box. And there's left-handed batters and right-handed batters. And they're supposed to hit this thing, the baseball that the pitcher throws.
With what?
And with a bat. So all these hitters have bats.
Not just like their arm.
Right. Yeah. They don't try to hit it with their hands. And they have to hit the baseball either over this fence that's a couple hundred feet away, or it has to, land on the ground without another player in the field catching it. And then there's these bases, and they have to go to these bases. So there's a first base, there's a second base, a third base, and a home plate.
Right? I think it's a home base.
Home base. And then, it's a plate, but anyway.
Right.
So a Padres player has to touch all of these bases, and then that counts as a point.
Dude, it's been a struggle. I mean, listen, a year ago they were defined by scrappiness, their offense. It was
scrappy.
Honestly, by the end of the year, we probably called them, other than the 24 consecutive scoreless innings, a pretty potent offense. Top 10 quality offense, hitters up and down the lineup, a catcher like Kyle Higashioka that put together a career year, a left fielder like Jurickson Profar that put together a career year, along with the Tatises and the Machados and the Merrills. I mean, it was a very quality offense. And you can't say the same right now. It's not to say it's not possible, but it's been 81 games. And we haven't seen it as often as we need to see it. And would it be foolish to think that we're just going to snap our fingers and the second half is going to look that much better offensively? I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful. I am hopeful, but I just don't know if I'm expecting this offense to look like last year.
If you're getting carved up by Nick Martinez, you need to figure things out.
He has been absolutely terrific through 4 innings. I mean, well, you just said he hasn't a lot of hit, but the way he's carving guys up, he just struck out Machado. He followed that up by striking out Merrill. He gets a routine pop out from Tatis. He has carved the Padres up through 4 innings. It's 3-0 Cincinnati. Now, what we've seen the last 2 series from the Padres is they drop the first game, they win the next 2. That formula works, but this won't be as easy. Not on the road, not against good teams.
And I'm not going to say if they lose 2 or 3 in this series.
No.
Like, how could you lose 2 or 3 to the Reds? Reds are a good baseball team.
Yep.
They're right there with the Padres. Anybody saying that the Reds stink? No.
12-6 in their last 18 is good baseball.
Yeah, they are right there with San Diego. And if they have a good series against the Padres here, they are closer to the Padres than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. They're separated by, take a look at the wild card standings right now, Jim. What is it? They're separated by maybe 2 games, the wild card standings? Something like that, maybe 2 1/2 games?
They are, 2.5 games behind the Padres.
So, I mean, they take 2 out of 3. They're 1.5 games behind the Padres after this series. That's why it's an important series, though, because if you take 2 out of 3, you're 3.5 games clear of them.
Yep.
So it is an important series, and tonight's an important night for Dylan Cease and the Padres. But this offense, man, we said, well, maybe it's Petco, maybe it's Mackenzie Gore. No, it's like it's the offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the offense. Oh, maybe it's Nick Martinez. I mean, you can only tip your cap so many times over 81 games. Not 2 out of every 3 games. That's too much tipping of caps.
There's only one hat to tip, and it's been tipped a lot.
It's been tipped a lot.
It kind of is like you see the wear mark on it from your finger. Tipping it so
kidding,
much.
Man. You're not kidding. All right, we'll keep you updated on that. Plus, I want to get to the Pac-12. What today signifies Texas State likely heading to the league beginning in 2026 to join San Diego State and others. We'll discuss that and maybe what comes next as well for the Pac-12 conference. There was some reporting today from John Canzano. We'll share with you on the other side. Plus, we do have Jim's back page as well. Again, we are here until 6 p.m., so don't go anywhere. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and also live right here on the iHeartRadio app.
This update's brought to you by Lexus El Cajon. Bring luxury home. Not good news in Cincinnati. Padres trail the Reds 4-0 the bottom of the fourth inning. Nick Martinez has not allowed a single hit yet for the Reds. SDFC, they take on Dallas tomorrow night on the road. 5:30 kickoff, 5 p.m. pregame. Listen to the match right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Texas State is the newest member to the Pac-12. The school will officially vote on it on Monday to complete the conference. Experience true luxury from Lexus El Cajon State of the Art dealership. You'll get a great deal with summer savings on any new or pre-owned Lexus in stock. See why they're ranked number one for customer service. Visit LexusElCajon.com. Bring luxury home from Lexus El Cajon.
So Jim gave the update 4-0. Dylan Cease has allowed a pair of home runs. The Padres have not recorded a hit off Nick Martinez in one of this 3-game series in Cincy.
How frustrating has Dylan Cease been this year, in your opinion?
I think very is the right word. I mean, I heard something with him within the last week where he basically admitted to frustration with his own performance, knowing that he's heading into free agency in one half of a year. I mean, he's 3 months away from free agency. He has not pitched like the pitcher he was a year ago. And he has not pitched like one of the better pitchers in the National League. He has not looked like an ace, obviously. What's it? You know, as we sit here right now, he's got an ERA, I assume, over 4.5.
4.57.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, you know, it's been a very below average year for someone who had really high expectations. I mean, the Padres expect the world out of Dylan Cease based on what played out last year. He's got to be so frustrated with himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown a million pitches, by the way. Look at this. He's thrown 83 pitches. They're only in the fourth inning. They have action up in their bullpen already. So it's been discouraging.
You know what's wild is this is his pattern since 2022.
Mm-hmm. Good, bad, good, bad.
Good, bad, good, bad.
Yeah.
2022 was easily his best season in the big leagues. 2.2 ERA in 32 starts and 184 innings with an opponent batting average of 190.
2.2 ERA. I didn't even realize that.
And then the following year in 2023, on the worst team in the history of the sport, he had a 4.58 ERA. He's got a 4.57 ERA right now in 33 starts.
Mm-hmm.
The opponent batting average that year was 250. So from a 190 opponent batting average to a 250 opponent batting average and just back,
huge difference.
2 years. Then last year, his ERA was a little inflated because a couple starts in the middle of the season, 3.47 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
But he won 14 games, pitched 189 innings, the most in his career, and he had a 200 opponent batting average. So good.
Pretty good.
This year, 4.57 ERA, opponent batting average, 245.
So you're right. It's very much deja vu all over again.
Yep. I don't know if Cease is gonna turn around and become the guy that he was for parts of last year, but he definitely has shown a pattern since 2022 where he has a good year, followed by a bad year, followed by a good year. Now it's in a bad year, which is 2025. It's frustrating from the standpoint of like they really need him to perform.
Yeah,
now,
pitching injuries.
Now I will say it's not all on him here. I mean, offense, guys, what are we doing? Come on, Nick Martinez. I mean, I like Nick Martinez a lot. Nicky, man, he would easily become a Nicky if he came here.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, how can we be in Cincinnati and you're hitless through 4 innings? Like that to me is more concerned than Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is absolutely concerned and very frustrating to watch. But it'd be a different story if the Padres could put up runs.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's the problem is they're all tied to each other. Cease struggles, the offense struggles. You might say, well, I'd rather Cease struggle and the offense perform, but you're not winning if Cease is struggling. Like to reach your ceiling, we always say this. I mean, how on earth do you win in the postseason if Dylan Cease is average and you have question marks around Michael King and Darvish? I mean, you'd be asking for trouble if that was your formula heading into the postseason, regardless of whether your offense was performing or not. So it's just been a little bit confusing, a lot of bit frustrating. And it's added up to, here's the other thing I see. It's like, do you have a lot of confidence that it's all going to turn around? It's halfway through the year. He's already made, 15 starts or whatever it is. So he would have to turn this thing around very quickly. His next start will be in Philadelphia, final game of this road trip. So,
I mean, you're asking,
I don't know.
But here's the thing though. And again, we have standards for Dylan Cease. He has standards for himself as well. And this is nowhere close to his standard.
Mm-hmm.
But by giving up 4 or 5 runs in a game, like you no shot because your team is not scoring 4 or 5 runs. And the whole thing with the pitcher is they keep the team in the game.
Right.
And by giving up 4 or 5 runs, games feels like it's over.
It does. I mean,
feels
we'll
like
see.
it's over.
Again,
Change.
it's not. Can the offense wake up? You're right. I mean, both of the things are concerning, and it's hard to prioritize because they're both really concerning. I mean, I look at even their play recently. To your point, this 4-1 stretch they're in against the Royals and the Nationals. Here are their runs scored in the games: 5 in a win, 3 in a win, 6 in a loss with a 3-run home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning from Tatis.
Stat padding, yeah.
4 in a win, 1 in a win. I mean, I'll add it all up. So in these 5 games where they're 4-1, they've scored 19 runs. They've averaged less than 4 runs per game in this 4-1 stretch. Like, you got to average more than 4 runs a game consistently to really trend where they want to trend. Like, to go, we were talking about, you go 20-10. There's no 20-10 averaging 3.8 runs per game over the next 30 games.
No.
Sorry.
There might be 16 and 14,
yeah,
15 and 14, 15 and 15, or 14 and 16.
Yeah, exactly.
14 and 16 in your next 30. Lean to the deadline, you're 6 over. Preller will still make a move, but you don't feel great about it.
No, and they've proven they can win scoring 4 runs and 3 runs. That is true. But man, give yourself a little bit of margin. So they head to the 5th inning. It's 4-0 Cincinnati. So the news today, we've touched on the updates and maybe briefly as well. Texas State is about to accept an invite to the Pac-12. That will complete the mandate that the Pac-12 needs 8 schools to play football in 2026. Now, John Canzano today, JohnCanzano.com. He's been with us. He covers the Pac-12. He's joined us before in the show. Wrote that Texas State won't get a quote-unquote full share in all likelihood. That's his reporting, which means the other schools in the league will get a little more money in TV revenue than Texas State, at least initially. So that means maybe a little more money in the pockets of schools like San Diego State and elsewhere when Texas State enters the league. We'll see if that reporting is accurate. He also wrote today that there's been discussion still about the possibility of adding St. Mary's in basketball and adding affiliate members in other sports like baseball.
I would love that for basketball. St. Mary's, woo.
Yeah,
sign me up.
I wonder, like, is it really going to be this really trim league? I mean, this is trim. 9 for basketball means only 8 opponents. Full round robin is only 16 games.
Yeah.
Okay, out of like 31, 32 for the year, only 16 in the league. And then football, true round robin at 8 is only playing 7 opponents.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have 5 non-conference. Now you could play Fresno State twice, and that could get you to 8. But it's really lean. Is that their desire to maximize the TV revenue? Because if the money's the money, you're maximizing it with fewer schools. Or would they prefer to fatten it up a little bit in the weeks, months ahead?
What's the John Schaefer perfect desired scenario here?
Here's my perfect storm. 9 for football, 10 for basketball. 9 for football means 8 conference games in football.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. 8 conference, 4 non-conference. And then 10 in basketball, play the true round robin. 9 opponents times 2 is 18. Home and home. Gonzaga's coming to you, you're going there. Texas State's coming to you, you're going there. And 18 gives you flexibility. Right now, the Mountain West is playing 20. I think that's too many conference games. It doesn't give you enough in the non-conference in basketball. I like 18 basketball conference games. I like 8 personally football conference games. So I personally would desire 1 more. And can they get there? Yeah, I think they absolutely can. I don't know what options they're going to have, and they're trying to do it in a short period of time. 2026 is coming. We're only a year away. So that to me is ideal. I think you can work with what you have, but to me, what's ideal is 1 more.
Now, going into the Pac-12's first year after this season, they can still change things as time goes by, or do they need to get things done by a certain time?
No, you're right. I mean, they could definitely change things. They could definitely make additions. They could absolutely do that. Is the no-hitter over or not?
The no-hitter's not over, John.
Because the ball was hit to the right of the foul pole down the right field line, so it's foul?
Yeah, so there's these poles that are in between
Are they green or yellow?
So they're green.
No, they're yellow.
Sorry, yellow. I don't know why I said that. And then the ball goes on the other side of the foul pole, past on the other side of the line. It's a foul ball.
Oh,
yeah,
it's neat.
It's a problem. But yeah. Oh, there we go. Good job.
And then the greatest catch of all time in right field. So what was your question? Are you saying do they have to get to the full number for 2026, or could they add a number for 2027? I think they get out of school for 2027. I think in 2026, maybe they're lean. And then 2027, they add a member. I think that's definitely possible. I think they've got to feel good. Like if you're, Washington State, Oregon State, San Diego State, you got to feel good knowing that what happened to the Pac-12 to go from Oregon State, Washington State to get to full compliance like this, and like that's not an easy.
No,
they had to do a lot to get there. You got Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, San Diego State, Gonzaga. Like they've done some work here. So they'll be in compliance. It'll start in 2026. You'll have Texas State as a conference opponent of San Diego State. Is it Memphis, to your point? No, I mean, it doesn't have the name recognition of a school like Memphis, but you still have Boise. You still have Oregon State. You still have Washington State. Like I think they have the opponents they need. And it'll be interesting to see what happens from here.
Are you excited for that San Diego State, Texas State new rivalry?
I'm not opposed to it. I'm really not. I mean, let me ask you this. Is it more or less appealing than Colorado State in football? Is it more or less appealing than Utah State in football?
Kind of feels the same.
Yeah, it feels the same. That's what I was going to say. Here's what's most appealing to me in football. Fresno State is like a true rival.
Yeah.
Oregon State and Washington State is unique because they were in the Pac-12.
Yep, Boise.
And then Boise. Yeah, so you got those 4 or 5 games that I think will be circled a little more. And then you have games against schools like Texas State, Utah State. They'll have to be developed in the years ahead. And then basketball, you got Gonzaga. They didn't have Gonzaga before.
No, Gonzaga will be a big time.
And that's going to be a real big time. And then we already know Utah State in basketball has been great.
Yeah.
Boise State in basketball has been great. So there's some Colorado State in basketball with like Nick Clifford and David Roddy and Isaiah Stevens has been great.
If you added St. Mary somehow.
Yeah, then you have more. Yeah.
Man.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned because Monday it becomes officially official. We believe Texas State to the Pac-12 for 2026. All right. We're keeping our eye on Padres and Reds where Nick Martinez is throwing a no-hitter through 4 2/3 innings for Cincinnati. Say that out loud. Nick Martinez is throwing a no-hitter. It's 4-0 Reds in the 5th.
I feel like we're doing the reverse jinx. Or if this is the Padres, we'd be like, shh, don't mention. Now it's every other word. Like, did we mention he's got a no-hitter going?
Have we mentioned that? He hasn't allowed
He's got a no-hitter going on, right?
So 4-0 Reds in the 5th to kick off a 6-game road trip in game 1 of a 3-game series at the Great American Ballpark. Jim's back page is on the other side. Stay with us. This is Jon and Jim. All right. Well, the early storyline in Cincinnati is Nick Martinez is no hitter through 5 innings.
Good job, everybody.
How many pitches has he thrown? Because Dylan Cease only went 4 innings. He threw a ton of pitches, something like 90. Well, on the other side, how many pitches has Nick Martinez thrown? Let's take a look at that.
50 something,
So
60
only
something.
in the 50s?
He's thrown 67.
All right, 67 through 5. I don't know if that gives him a chance to go 9. And hopefully the Padres come to life. But man, you can't be better than that. Through 5, and Dylan Cease has been chased after 4 innings on the road. So not a great start. That's what I'm trying to say. Not a perfect start, and Reds have hit 2 home runs, and they scored 2 first-inning runs, and they've been good at home. And
yeah, if Arise and Manny and Merrill and Tatis, like I said it earlier in the show, those are the 4 guys that are going to determine a lot with this season.
How many hits have they combined for in this no-hitter so far?
Well, John, because the Padres have no hits through 5 innings, those 4 guys that I just mentioned also have no hits.
Remember the Ellie Toddy conversation? Should we judge it based on 1 game? He's got 2 hits.
Yeah, sure. If you want to
just
do it,
on 2 at bats.
Screw it. Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz better than Fernando Tatis Jr.
I will say you got some serious stars on display. Ellie and Toddy and Machado, and time for the Padres to again wake up in this series opener.
Wake up.
All right. We'll keep you updated for a handful of minutes. We do have a wrap-up show for you coming up later tonight.
Oh, that should be fun.
Well, we'll see. Game's not over.
True.
We are hitting up the card show, as we told you.
We are hitting the card show tomorrow. What time? We haven't even talked about what time.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think 10. Jones will want to be there. The thing is, if there's a line, he'll freak out, and there will be.
Okay, so
we'll have to
there
wait.
like 9:30.
Well, yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood, but then we'll have to wait 30 minutes, and he'll freak out about that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's 6.
That's true.
You guys will have to go get your limited edition Spencer Steer cards before they sell out.
His cards have gone up in price because he's hit 2
skyrocketing right now.
We'll talk about that. 10. We got to get there at 10. We'll get there.
10.
We got time.
Get there 10.
All right, let's get to it.
Somehow Dolly Parton is still
a thing.
Like a thing.
What does that mean? Well, what's she doing?
How old is Dolly Parton, by the way? I mean, she looks like a plastic doll, but she's got to be like in her like late 80s, right?
She's born in 46, which means she's 79.
Okay, so she's 79, but she looks like 60.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while.
Anyway, Dolly Parton is opening up her first hotel in Nashville.
Smart.
In 2026. It's a Dolly Parton hotel. It's in Nashville, opening up in 2026. It's called the where is it here? Hold on. Hold on.
Good radio.
No one's listening.
Text us if you're listening.
Oh, it's called the Dolly Way Hotel.
Okay, I like that.
And it is fully inspired by Dolly Parton. Hotel, the rooms, the amenities, the lobby area, it's all Dolly Parton. Would you stay at this hotel, John?
No, but I think there's an audience for it. Isn't there a Dollywood?
I was saying she has her own theme park, Jim.
There's a Dollywood. Right? I think there's a huge audience for it in the South. Or just in
Dolly
general.
Parton is huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's
more ways than one.
I think
she's huge.
Right. I think that will play for a long time.
The entire 3rd floor of this hotel will be a museum for Dolly Parton.
Makes sense.
So if you want to go stay at this hotel and then go to a Dolly Parton museum, which of course, you're staying at a Dolly Parton hotel, why would you not? Then there you go. You can check out the Dolly's Life of Many Colors Museum inside the hotel. So there you go in Nashville. Couple cards since we're going to a card show, John.
Should we stay there though? If the winter meetings are in Nashville, we'll just stay at the Dolly Parton hotel.
Yeah, perfect. I'm sure Mary will allow that. A 1986 Fleer, you know this card, Michael Jordan rookie card.
Yeah.
Signed by Michael Jordan.
Okay, I'm listening.
Mint 9 Auto 10 PSA graded.
Yeah. This is a premier auction.
It was at Jupiter.
Oh, okay. How much? Well, you want me to guess?
Yeah.
I already saw it.
So this is like the Jordan card.
The Jordan card. His A6 rookie. Yeah.
Signed, and the autograph is like a 10.
Mint 9 auto 10.
Gosh. $100,000.
$2.5 million.
Oh, I undersold it.
It's the third highest price ever paid for a Jordan card.
Wow. So there's been more expensive of this same card, we think?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it says it's the
third highest. But of this card, or is there a different card that's going
I don't know.
There's this 84 star, by the way. That also is a crazy card.
Yeah. It set a record for the card in any grade.
Wow. So that specific card, that is the record.
Mm-hmm.
For the 86 Fleer, nothing's ever gone for more than 100K.
Now it's at 2.5 mil.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's never gone for more than 2.5 mil. That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. Ridiculous, man. See, cards.
So I'll tell Kristen.
Yeah.
If we get that card, we have $2 million.
Yeah, exactly. We have this card, we got $2.5 million.
So trust me.
Yeah. And finally, speaking of cards.
Yeah.
Pope Leo's
Yeah.
Super Fractor 1-of-1 card. It's a gold tops.
Okay.
Just sold at an auction for $16,500. Now I have a problem with this.
Okay, what's your problem?
Here's my problem. The card was graded by CGC.
It's like a grading company.
But no, CGC is great. I think, PSA is like the gold standard, but they'll look at a card sometimes that's a 10 and they'll grade it like a 6 because the person that's grading the card's not feeling it that day or something.
You're saying PSA.
PSA, yeah.
Okay.
CGC is more precise
in their grading
and a better grading system than PSA.
Okay.
If you are looking at a 1-of-1 gold Superfractor Pope Leo card,
right? They just came out.
How are you grading it anything other than a 10? This got a 9. This got a 9. A Pope Leo. They didn't give it a 10.
So the Pope's a 9, not a 10.
The Pope is a 9, not a 10.
The 1-of-1 Pope card.
The 1-of-1.
The guy's a baseball fan.
I would argue that if card companies are making 1-of-1 cards,
they should be 10s.
There should be an emphasis on making that 1-of-1 card
perfect, pristine. Yeah, I would agree. And we've seen the card. I saw it online. It's not like it doesn't appear that there is anything wrong with the card. There's no
Nothing.
oh look, they messed up the corner when they bought it or something. No, it looks great.
You cannot make. By the way, this game's over. They're down 6-0 now in the.
Ye of little faith.
It's over.
It's over. Break out the Skyline chili.
Yeah, give them all Skyline chili. Give them bubble guts.
6 runs, Jim.
6 runs. They haven't scored 6 runs in a game they won in how long?
A little while.
Yeah. Back to my card rant. If you're making 1-of-1s, they have to be perfect 10s. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
You can't make a 1-of-1 card and it's like, oh, whoops, we printed it wrong, and it turns out to be an 8 or a 9. Now, again, nothing's wrong with those grades. I think that if you're collecting, I think coming from a novel collector and myself, 9s are probably the way to go because the value of the 9s compared to a 10, it's like hundreds and thousands of dollars.
I have to do a timeout. Steer has hit 3 home runs and 3 at bats for the Reds. Okay, what's his first name?
Spencer, bro.
Spencer Steer had 6 home runs in the year, has hit 3 and 3 ABs. The Reds have unloaded on the Padres. The game is over. It's 8-0. He will have a chance for 4 home runs. It's only the 5th inning. He's guaranteed another at bat. He could have 2. He won't bat in the 9th. But Spencer Steer has hit 3 home runs against the Padres in 3 at bats, which you do not see every day.
All right, now my question is this:
what do you do the next time he's up? Do you walk him?
Can't wait. I cannot wait. You know where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I cannot wait to hear how Mike Schultz spins this one.
Oh,
as they just hit another home run.
Or is the ball foul? It's foul.
Almost foul.
Well, I think he's going to say you got to chalk it up. Tip your cap to Nick Martinez. Spencer Steer has hit 3 home runs. It's the 5th inning.
Dude, if he hits his 4th, he'll be the second player this year to hit 4 home runs in a game.
Who did it? Suarez with the Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
He did that this year?
April 26th.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
Well, here now
I'm watching.
The double whammy is if they lose when they lose this game, it better not be no hitter.
And Spencer Steer hit 4 home runs. That would be a first. Like I always say with baseball, you think you've seen everything, and then a guy hits 4 home runs and a no hitter.
Well,
what a Friday.
They didn't start out this road trip great.
Can't win them all, as they say.
Like it's over. Maybe they should put in Jake Cronenworth and pull a Dave Roberts.
But do you do Jake Cronenworth if it's Spencer Steer and now you got a position player against Steer going for the record, tying the record?
Good point.
All right, we're back Monday. Join us tonight. Wrap-up show. A lot to discuss. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Okay, bye.